know, some of my things have errors. Am I live? Oh, I'm live. And are there people in here with me already? Oh, wait, there's already people here. You can see comments. Woohoo! Very cool. And it's official. I don't have my glasses on, so I officially can't read a thing. Hold on a minute. Hold on a second. Let me fix this. All right, now I'm going to put on my fancy glasses. All right, let's see. Now, what if the comments are all mean? What if I put on, what if all I see is blur? What if I put on the comments and everybody's cruel to me? Then I could take my glasses off and pretend everyone loves me. Here we go. You're stoked. Badum tush. Let's go. I got woo. Hello from the guy in the Raiders shirt. Let's see. Oh my God, lots of people. The Raiders shirt. Sweet. Yes, sir. There you are. Hey, Scott. Hey, Scott, how are you? Hey, live indeed. You're live. Jim Mather, North Carolina dude here. Always stoked on what you do. Donna Brooke. Hey, Scott. Kevin S. Softberg is amazing. I got a hi, Scott. What's up, Scott? Okay. Nobody's been mean. Sweet. I don't think anybody would ever be mean, but it'd be funny. Unfiltered view of the life on the disc golf tour. Yeah, here, I'll sum up the disc golf tour in 10 seconds. These kids are freaking good. Jesus Christ. I didn't cash at the Great Lakes Open. And I'll be honest with you. Like, I played good golf. My God. You have no idea. I shot 5 under at the toboggan course. You have no idea how good that is. It's so good. And it's like, well, not really. It's not really good. Thought it was good. Turned out I was wrong. Hello, Des Moines. Nice shooting today. Sweet shot on 3. 1, 2, 3. What was 3?
3's the one in the bowl that goes in the front end.
Oh, that rad sidearm. Oh, that was a 6 sidearm, right? I didn't even think I could get to the hole from there. I just threw a sidearm far and it wound up pin high. It's probably like 500 feet. It was crazy. I am doing well. How can anybody not do well? Like, life is so good. It's the best time ever in the history of the world to be alive. Let's see. How's the body holding up? Are you kidding? My body's holding up so good. I mean, I E. coli. I've had E. coli and COVID, but those aren't like my body not holding up. That's just, I mean, the E. coli is mean. It came back like 5 times or 4 times. I had it and then it came back
5.
Came back 5 times. And I've found out why. Apparently, it's not completely unusual. And it was like 99% the same E. coli that doesn't get knocked out because it just doesn't.
It's a different strain and it's hiding in your kidneys.
It's hiding in my kidneys? Yeah, it hides in my kidneys. The antibiotics help and can knock it out, but they don't always. What's my thoughts on Eagle and Paul's separation from the field by 16 strokes? Yeah, that will not happen again, ever in the history of our sport. We will never see a gap like that again. It's absolutely astonishing. You threw 391 today, senior stud. Ooh, that's a really good idea. If I was a potato, I'd be senior spud. Senior spud. Yep. Let's see. Steve, I walked to the toboggan 3 times last Friday. I was exhausted. Yeah, you got to get in shape. I'm actually about to announce, we're only a couple days away from announcing, I am doing, I don't want to give the details out, but it's going to be an online fitness class, not related to disc golf, but related to just being healthy because I've never been in better shape in my life. And I am not counting macros, going to the gym 4 days a week, running 5 miles a day, weighing out portions of food. I'm doing some very basic, sustainable things, and I've never felt better, and I want to share it with everybody. So, thoughts on guys doing left and right-handed throws in the future using both arms? I don't think it's ever going to be a thing. You know, the idea of a backhand and a sidearm, it has nothing to do with backhand and sidearm. It has everything to do with spinning the disc both directions. So if you have a right-handed backhand, you could throw a left-handed backhand or a right-handed sidearm to accomplish the reverse spinning of the disc. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter which one of those two you choose. And in my experience, it is far easier to learn to throw sidearm with your dominant throwing hand than it is to throw opposite hand backhand. Doesn't mean it's not ever going to be a thing, but I don't think it's ever going to be a predominantly normal thing. My right-handed sidearm, I don't care if I spent my entire life throwing left-handed backhand, it would never be as good as my right-handed sidearm ever. So why is the Berg so good at forehand approach shots? Okay, so first off, the Berg is good for approach shots, period. By the way, let me jump ahead. You see a little thing scrolling on the bottom of the screen. This is Bergapalooza. I have 4 different Bergs available at scottstokely.net. They're not all Tour Series Bergs. Some of them are stock, but I got a couple different K1s, K3 hard. Bergs are very hard to come by. And the ones that aren't Tour Series, you're not paying Tour Series prices. You're paying pretty much standard Berg prices at scottstokely.net. But there are very few Bergs out there in the world. They're hard to come by, mainly because I have them all.
We got a bunch.
Got a bunch. So go to scottstokely.net if you wanted to get a bunch of Bergs, because they're hard to get, but I have them. The reason the Berg is so good, has nothing to do with sidearm. It has to do with it's the best approach disc ever made. And the reason why is because it doesn't fly. You don't want an approach disc that glides. Now, there's rare exceptions where you have a ceiling to get under, blah, blah, whatever. But I'm talking about your baseline approach shot. The reason why the Berg is so good, or the reason why it not flying is so good, is because if you throw the Berg at the perfect speed, it's right underneath the basket. But if you throw it way too hard, it's like 3 feet long. It doesn't fly. So you don't get penalized for bad shots. Now, the reason why it's good for the forehand, I think, is because even though you should throw every disc in your bag, backhand and forehand, sidearm, it can be hard for some players to get a release on certain discs because of this little concave thing here. It's just real easy to get, to me anyways, to get a sidearm, a clean release. So I can throw this, I can throw a Berg at 100% power sidearm and it won't wobble at all out of my hand because of the shape of the disc. Are you in Niagara Falls? Are you playing courses in Buffalo? No, I have played course in Louisville or Lewiston. Lewiston. Okay, sorry. Louisville is north of Dallas, Fort Worth. In Lewiston, I played a tournament up there in 1993, which I'll tell you all a funny story about. It's a true story, which you're not going to believe. But no, I just in Niagara Falls for a couple days, just doing the vacation thing, and then headed to Columbus. Okay, I got a story about Lewiston. At the Can-Am Series 1993, back then, there were only a couple divisions. There was Pro, there was Advanced, and there was Novice. Basically 3 categories. And the Advanced was a massive category. Novice was basically it's your first time playing a tournament. You don't know the rules yet. You would move on from Novice. So it wasn't like today where there's actually competitive, MA4 fields out there. Novice was for first timers. And there was a player, this is 1993, there was a player who was playing their very first tournament in the novice division, and they got a hole-in-one in the first 5 holes of their very first tournament. And then they got a second hole-in-one in the first 5 holes of their very first tournament. They got 2 aces in their first 5 PDGA sanctioned holes of their life. Now, they were actual novices. So not only did they get 2 hole-in-ones, they didn't even win the novice division. And I wrote about this in my book. I thought it was kind of funny. I told this story many times. And then a few years ago, I was in Kalamazoo, Michigan for Am Worlds, and a player came up to me and said, and this is 20 years later, they come up to me and they said, wait, 20 years later, 25 years later? Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm old. 25 years later, they came up to me and they said, hey, just wanted to introduce myself. We've actually met before. I'm the guy who got the 2 aces. So not only did that happen, not only is that player still playing, but he's still an amateur 25 years later. But that's a true story. Quick tip on hitting small gaps off the tee. Yeah, don't hit the trees.
That's a good tip.
There you go. How about that? No, everything takes place along the line. Everything is about drawing lines and then planting your foot first. If everything is drawn on a line and then you plant that foot down, the disc is going to fly up the line that you drew. That's a very simple thing. It's not easy to do, but it's a very simple thing. Hello, Benita Graham Warrens. Are you still thinking of coming out with an updated throwing form book? God, I got so many projects. Like, I would love to put out a book on the Stokely method, but I mean, it's just with all the video that's out there right now. It like, the only reason I'd put the book out is because it'd be neat to have a book that says the Stokely disc golf throwing method in actual book form, and that's because I'm old. Where like, I actually think having a paper copy of a book on a bookshelf is cool. I think it's really neat, but I'm not in any hurry to do it because there's nothing I can put in a book that I can't translate 1,000 times better on video or in my classes. So if I did it, it would be almost for fun, but you'd get far more out of the video lessons. So, I probably will do it eventually, but the first draft of my next book is finished, by the way. My autobiography that starts in 2001. This is the dark years. This is my autobiography, which is, I think there were 13 really fun years away from disc golf. Like, it was really exciting. And then it went bad and it got really dark. I turned out, no one told me this, but apparently, and by the way, if you guys haven't heard this, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is my theory. But apparently, using hard drugs leads to your life spiraling downward into a black hole of shit. Were you aware of that? Who knew, right? No one ever told me that's what would happen. But that's what happened in 2013, 14-ish, around there, 2013, I think. Anyways, that's all in my second book. But there's a happy ending. How come people drive slow when I'm behind them, but they go way faster when I try to pass them? Okay, there's this thing called confirmation bias.
Well, read his screen name.
Yeah, the screen name is Stupid Idiot, by the way. No, I think that is perception. But I'm open to any questions. You all can shoot. I'm an expert at a wide range of topics aside from just disc golf. Like, you might know this, but I'm actually an expert on relationships. That's a true story also. I have had so many failed relationships that I'm literally a pro. In fact, my girlfriend, when 2.5 years ago, when we started seeing each other, she looked on my Facebook page and she says to me, I got about a year, don't I? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told her yes. I said, that's probably about what I predict. We're 2.5 years in. It's going great. So who knows? Maybe I think I got it right this time. But will I be coming back to Belton, Texas Heritage Park? So I have no idea. We are leaving the country at the end of October. I cannot tell you when I'm coming back to the U.S. because we're going to be leaving in October. Well, technically, we're not leaving the country in October because we're playing a tournament in Hilo, Hawaii, last weekend of October. But then it's Australia and New Zealand for some tournaments, and then it is Thailand and Cambodia for a couple tournaments, and then we're going to go to Singapore and Malaysia. We'll do some golf there. They got some clubs, and then we're off to play a tournament in Croatia, and then the Euro Tour next year. And I'll be honest, come October of next year, we don't have plans. there's a lot of the world out there to see. And if y'all follow me, you know I'm a full-time nomad. Like it's not like I'm gonna have a home. Like I just want to go to different places. So I don't know if I'll ever come back to Belton.
That's why you need to go buy bergs on the
Yeah.
site.
Yes.
You can do all this travel.
Right.
And spread disc golf.
Yes.
So there's K1.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live stream featured items.
Yeah.
On
There's.
the website.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'll just see like I'll keep plugging this because this is Bergapalooza. This is the Berg. I have 4 bergs. You can find bergs at scottstokely.net.
K1 soft.
K1 soft.
K3 hard.
K3 hard.
And
K3.
Scott, K1 and K3.
Yeah, K1 and K. Just go check it out. Go to scottstokely.net. You can read them all there. But bergs exist. The reason you can't find them anywhere is because I have them all. Your friend Blake is addicted to throwing his berg. Do I have any tips to help his addiction? So I would do an intervention, and everybody should sit around in a circle and just take turns reading something you wrote ahead of time that starts with, here's how you throwing the berg has hurt me. It's a burgervention. A burgervention? It sounds like a trade show for like fast food places.
Yeah.
Now the Birch are the best. What are my thoughts on Birchfield? I love Birchfield, except for those 2 holes that I bogeyed. No, Birchfield is fantastic. That's a great course.
That's the one we played today?
Yeah. I mean, I think 16 and 17 are kind of soft. I don't think there's any other holes out there that I would consider. I mean, it's a good course. I mean, I'll tell you what, I would give the course an A because it's like there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good course. I mean, even the easy holes are kind of fair. I don't like the little island hole 17, only because there's an element of luck. Like kind of all I did is I just threw a sidearm to the basket, and there's about an 85% chance it lands in the island, about a 50% chance it gets rejected, goes out of bounds. And in this case, it happened to get through, which was great, but I don't like that hole. I would like it if there was a way to push the hole back 100 feet and then throw onto the island. That would be a lot cooler. Other than that, it's perfect, though. That's a trip. There's only one known video of you as a child on a disc golf course. Yeah, that's because back when I was a child, they didn't have video. They had black and white televisions. And I'm only joking by about yay much. When I was a kid, we would watch sporting events, and I would be told to actually hold the antennas up on the TV because we'd have better reception when I became part of the antenna. So like in an important game, I would stand there holding the antennas. That's in my lifetime. So yeah, there's to the best of my knowledge, there's only one video of me playing as a kid. But it's kind of cool that there's one. Way better than 0. You've been practicing your left-hand throws because your flicks aren't working. I can choose my lefty options on. Yeah, you can definitely throw left-hand if you want to, but if your flick isn't working, then you need to watch my videos or take my classes or something like that, because your flick should work. Everybody can throw a sidearm. If you can pick up a rock and throw it at a tree, then you can throw a sidearm. You have the ability. If you can take an object and throw it, you can throw a sidearm. Do you bring any of your discs for us to try during an 8-hour class? Yeah, I'll have them all. Hi, Benita. Yeah, I have them all. I will have everything with me. This is in Des Moines, but you bring your disc. You need to bring the disc as well. What's the oldest disc in the bag that I still throw? Oh God.
None of your discs are old. Everything.
Yeah. So I have this thing. This is a personal mental thing, but I never want to get attached to a disc. So I only basically throw new discs. I don't break a disc in and throw it. I also don't get wrapped up in the idea that there's a difference between one disc and the next. They're all the same. So for example, I got a bunch of Marvel putters in the back of the truck. And when I practice putting, I'll grab some of those. I'll grab some out of my bag. I'll practice putting, and then I'll just throw 2 of them back in my bag. I don't pay attention to which ones are which. And I do that on purpose because I've seen more players get caught up with this idea that that they got this one disc that when they throw in the pond, it screws up their whole tournament, which is stupid because you can get a disc that flies just like that. So I purposely avoid getting close to discs and just replace them. I also like new discs because they're replaceable. I don't want to break in a disc because then what happens if I lose it? I have to break in another one. Well, how do like that's a process. If I throw new discs, they can simply be replaced from the box. Convince me to buy your barbecue sauce. Convince you. So talk slowly and confidently.
And look deeply in my eyes.
Look deeply in my beautiful blue eyes. I can't do it. My barbecue sauce is really good. It's award-winning barbecue sauce. It's really good. Here's what it is. It's Pascal's Wager. If you buy the barbecue sauce, worst case scenario, you go, nah, it's sauce. I mean, you're not going to hate it, but it it's flavor. It might not click with your taste buds. But the best case scenario is, oh my God, that's like the best thing I've ever had in my entire life. And now you can eat like this new flavor that you love for the rest of your life. So you have nothing to lose, everything to gain by trying it. Here, we'll even pull that up. And I'll even convince you one more thing. This is Texas Smoky. See the letter D? Carolina Vinegar, I. Kansas City Sweet, S. And you'll never guess what the last one is. California Spicy, C. So it even spells out a word. But since I dropped out of school in the 10th grade to play disc golf every day, I have no idea what DISC spells, but I was told that it's a word. Did the Berg replace the Baobab? Actually, no. I'll be releasing a Baobab very soon. I just ordered a ton of them. Did I let that one slip? Yeah, no. The Berg and the Baobab are two totally different discs. They're not. One doesn't replace the other. They're absolutely not the same disc. If they were the same disc, I wouldn't throw them both. So the Scott Stokely story is a Twilight to Starlight rock bottom recovery story. Yeah. I'm actually kind of the opinion that like hats off to you if like none of your life was shit. But I think there's something to be said for living a life that with high peaks and low valleys. I don't do anything half-assed. So when I decided that I was going to start using drugs, which was not for a very long period in my life, but I didn't do it half-assed. I pretty much went for it. And it was pretty awful. Dude, that's such an understatement. Wait till you read the book. You're going to be like, what the hell did this guy... like when I look back at like the things I was doing, I can't even believe that was me. But not only can I not believe it was me, I can't even see how I thought that it was okay to do things the way I was doing. Like my mind is so far not there that I don't even understand how I thought doing these things were like, I don't know. It's so bizarre. But I will never tell you that a lot of that period in my life wasn't also really fun, because people wouldn't do that stuff if it wasn't fun for a while. So I also had some just incredibly great experiences. Unfortunately, with hard drugs, you don't get the great experiences without the shittier ones. But you wouldn't have kept doing it in the first place if there wasn't highs before the lows. So I've been on both sides of it, and I'm happier now, to say the least. It has a maximum distance. I watch it go and stop. Like the birdie disc, it has a limit, probably more. Yeah, the bird doesn't fly. It goes, and this is the sound. If you listen carefully, this is the sound the bird makes. It flies next to the basket and then goes and just stops. Like that's actually the sound the bird makes. When it passes the chains, it just goes and stops. Yeah, the bird's great. By the way, there's 4 versions at scottstokely.net. I'm not saying they're the only birds in the world, but they are out there. By the way, you know what y'all could do if y'all want to help me promote it, is let the people know on your page, hey, guess what, everybody? if you're looking for bergs, I found some, and tell people where to find them.
You're gonna get that.
Thanks for page 5 for Walt. I see Walt Disney. I see page 5 of my book. Wait, are you saying page 5 of my book?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was that. Yeah, that I'll never forgive Walt Disney for that. I only saw one type of berg available. No, it's Scott. Go to scottstokely.net. There's a link there to shop. It'll take you to the store.
They're called live stream featured items.
Yeah, they're called live stream featured items. There's 4 of them, but only one of them is my tour series. The other 3 are just stock discs available. They're there. Unless, wait, check to see that maybe they sold out.
No, I see them.
They're all there. Yeah, they're still there. Do you think ambidextrous is the future of the sport? I do not think so. I think that throwing sidearm will be better than throwing opposite hand for 99% of players. I do. I mean, it's not like, look, if you threw a backhand really well, but the sidearm was such a weird delivery that it was like 200 feet shorter and it never, well, then maybe then you need to figure out how to throw opposite hand backhand. But that's not the case. I mean, even to this day, on the course, I throw 550 backhand, 550 sidearm with potentially hitting 6 on each. Now, I know I'm an outlier. I'm not saying this is like, I know that I throw far, but it's not like, I got this great get out of jail sidearm and then I throw the backhand when I want to rip it. I can throw both. And so I do not believe ambidextrous is the future of the sport. Some players will ultimately throw both hands, but I think that your dominant hand sidearm for 99% of players is easier to learn and you'll get better at than opposite hand backhand. Having said that, opposite hand backhand reverses the spin of the disc. It accomplishes the same thing. So it's an option, but it is not the option I would recommend. All right, am I around the Peoria area to check out the courses yet? No, I'm actually a few strokes off the lead at the C-lister of that course. I honestly, my skill level on really easy courses where all the pros are shooting like, if it was some little short B tier tournament and all the 1,000 rated pros are shooting 14 under on these courses, those are the courses where I shoot 8 under and shoot like 970. So it's just my skill set lends itself to hard courses. So I'm going to shred Peoria. Am I stoked about the new Beavis and Butthead show? I haven't seen them yet, but I'm stoked for anything Beavis and Butthead does. Beavis and Butthead is, I don't want to say that they're my heroes, but one of them is. I'm just not telling you which one. Ledgestone. Of course I'll be a Ledgestone. I'm going to smash I'm going to crush Ledgestone. I really, truly am. I'm really excited. I'm going to have a breakout tournament still this year. I've had almost every tournament this year. I've been between 1,008 and 1,014 rated. I've been like the most consistent player on tour, which is really, really good golf, but it's not a breakout tournament. Like I've only had like 1 or 2 tournaments over 1,020. Like I'm so stupidly consistent, but I'm about to break out and have a big one. So I don't know if it's Ledgestone, but it's coming. Have I ever told someone, shut up, I'm not here to talk BS politics, I'm here to sling plastic? Or do you discuss politics on the course?
It's on the bottle.
What?
The bottle.
The bottle?
Yeah, it's on the barbecue sauce bottle.
Oh, does it say in the bottle? Oh.
Did you happen to grab the right one?
Yeah, I did have another right one. Yeah, so I actually mentioned that on my bottle, which is there's like, I said, here we go. This is on one of the bottles. Stokely sauce is like, it's my sauce, Stokely sauce. Stokely sauce is like throwing your shot OB, but when you get to your lie, it's sitting on the line. That's Stokely sauce. And then I wrote, other sauce is like having a card mate that wants to talk politics, but you play disc golf to think about anything but that. So no, I don't have to tell anybody that. Nobody's talking religion or politics or these types of topics during the round. Unless they're friends and they know they can have a civil, conversation about it. But it's never like like a pro tour event. You never hear people talking about that. In fact, if it did, somebody would be like, "Guys, we talk about that later," and the response would be like, "Yeah, you're right. Sorry." Tips on timing for snapping the wrist forehand. The timing of the wrist is going to happen automatically. basically you don't have to worry about the timing of the wrist. It's it happens the only time it can possibly happen by default. It's the default setting. Now where the wrist moves, and in fact, if you want to do this sometime, Abe, if I'm ever in your town, this would be fantastic because no one's let me do this yet. But what I've always wanted to do, and if you're open, is I want to put your arm in a vise, like with your forearm at one end of the vise and your hand in the other end of the vise. And then I want to take a hammer and I just want to go smash, and I just want to smash your wrist and just shatter your wrist. So it's just limp. Now, well, hold on. Just let me finish. Hear me out. Okay, then what I want to do is I want to take a slow motion video of you going through the sidearm motion where you flip your arm back and this dangling mass of digits that doesn't do anything because your wrist is shattered. When it goes forward at the furthest point forward and it changes direction, your wrist, when you don't have any control over it, will make your hand move at the exact same moment that you actually wanted to move before I smashed your hand. So the timing of when you purposely do this should be at the exact same time that it would go had you had your wrist shattered.
It could work.
It could work. So yeah, so next time I'm in town, Abe, please just do it for science. If you're willing to let me do this, I'll give you a couple like tour discs,
Just think of all the players that would
think of all the players that would benefit from this experiment. So, but that's the timing on the wrist. Basically, your arm goes forward, your wrist would change directions because the momentum of your arm moves forward. That's the same place your wrist would turn. I'm still going to try to win Worlds, right? No, I am going to win Worlds. I have no intention. I will never play a DGPT event if I'm not there to win.
There is no trying.
There is no trying. I truly believe that if I'm not out there to win, then I'm stealing the spot from a younger player that wants to come out and try to win. Now, that doesn't apply to B tiers and C tiers and league night or any of that. These, you can have any different motive for playing disc golf, and they're all okay. But on the pro tour, if you're not there to win, then stay home. So, of course, I'm trying to win. Or, no, planning on winning. When do I start doing live commentary? I don't think I'm going to.
Well, there's one major flaw with that.
What?
That live commentary requires for you to be someplace, and we want to be every other place.
Yeah, I would be traveling. So yeah, no live commentary. I just don't know if that's something that I would want to do. I just think first off, if it's live commentary, I'll be playing. So kind of hard to do commentary while I'm playing. Not impossible. You could mic me up. I could do commentary while I'm playing. What do you think? It's a good idea, right?
But then you're still only covering your card.
Then I'm covering my card, but I'm covering me. So I could do live commentary on me.
Yeah, I wanted to do that, except we can't get media credits.
Yeah, we're trying to get credits to do that. I wanted to mic up an entire round during like a pro tour event where I just mic'd up myself, and I would just talk to myself the whole round and go through the entire process of what I'm thinking, how I deal with the misses, what I do when I'm on a run, watching other players, distractions. Like I thought it'd be fun to just do a walkthrough, but we couldn't put that together.
Can't get the media clearance for
Nope.
it. So.
Nope. Primary putters are 2 of your Stokely Bergs. I love that. Hey, I'm all for that. And by the way, I'll keep plugging away. Bergs are available at scottstokely.net. 4 different types, 2 different K1s, 2 different K3s. Only one of them's Tour Series, so the other ones are like $7 cheaper because they're not Tour Series. So they're not all the expensive Bergs, although I like when you buy the Tour Series Bergs because I make money off it. So I'm totally cool with you buying the more expensive Bergs, but they don't fly any, Tour discs don't fly any differently than non-Tour discs. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to piss off every touring player that makes money off their Tour discs.
Your Tour disc flies better.
Yeah.
All Bergs are good.
Right,
Bergs.
but all Bergs are good Bergs.
Especially Sandy Point stamp.
How about a Berg with a Sandy Point stamp? Well, that would be up. to the Sandy Point, to Mike and Michelle. But they would crush. Bergs are the best disc in the world. I believe that. I just saw a video from Iceberg TV saying that most pros don't use power grip for distance, but use the pinch grip instead. What do you think about that? And what grip do you recommend? Yeah, I'm going to make a video, I believe tomorrow, covering that topic, and I'm going to reference Iceberg TV because they bring up some really good points. But the fact is, the stupidest name of anything in all of disc golf, and when I say stupid, I mean the name of this thing has screwed up millions of players. And that is the term power grip. The reason that's a stupid name is because if you're new to disc golf, it's implied that that's how you throw with power. It's a myth. You don't throw that with power. Now, that does not mean the pinch grip is a better grip. Grip is always going to be individual based on your hand. But there will never, ever, 1,000 years from now, when we've got disc golf down to the most perfect science ever, there still won't be a universal grip that everybody uses because all of our hands are different. So it's not that pinch grip is better than power grip, but power grip is not better than pinch grip either. You have to find the grip that works for you. It is completely and will always be individual. But the term power grip has made people force them to want to throw with this grip, and they've ruled out the possibility of throwing with a different grip. So do I like the wall idea of Birchfield? Yeah, but I think it should be a little bit higher. And last year I hit that damn wall, by the way, I'll have you know. I hit that wall and it's not even in play. And I hit it. And what's funny is I hit the wall and somehow wound up in front of the wall. And I still don't know how that happened. Like it hit the wall and the momentum like carried it over the top. I think the wall is great, but I would love it if the wall was a little bit higher. It makes the hole harder. I don't have a problem with that at all. I like man-made obstacles. I mean, in ball golf, they have man-made obstacles. They dig a hole in the ground and fill it with sand, like when they have the budget. So I don't have a problem with man-made obstacles. Same as man-made OB. I love man-made OB. Are you coming to the North Carolina Championships this year? Yes, I'm 100% going. I hope I qualify. I haven't qualified yet. And I would love to meet you and your son very much. The only thing I've qualified this year is I have qualified for the Big Money Skins match. The Big Money Skins match is the next to last week of October in Missouri. Guaranteed. This is the Eagles Crossing Championship. First place has already been guaranteed $50,000. And they're already saying there's going to be well over $100,000 purse. And I'm going to win. But don't tell the other guys because I don't want them to I want them to enjoy the fantasy of winning. I don't want to take that away from them. Like there's nothing meaner than to take hope away from somebody. So don't tell the other players that I'm going to win. But I'm going to win. Heading to Leadstone on Monday. I was wondering if you had a fun course to play in the Indianapolis area that I can play on my way through from Columbus, Ohio. In Minneapolis, honestly, Indianapolis, I don't know.
Where's the one that you played? We did a
Yeah, but that's not. Yeah, there's courses that I've played there, but that was a nice course. Yeah, I can't tell you any that are really good though. Go to the Indianapolis disc golf page and ask them. But I can't tell you off the top of my head which ones are good. How long before there's an age-protected tour? 50 years? Look, here's the funny thing, and I'm going to piss off all my old friends, like literally all of them when I say this, because I hear it all the time from a lot of the players of my generation, their 40s, their 50s, and how cool it'd be to have a tour. The fact is, no one cares. Like, no one cares about the senior golf tour. Nobody cares about the senior bowling tour. It's sports. I mean, if there was a senior NBA league, like if there was an interest in watching senior NBA, it would exist. It's not like all these people would want to watch all the old players play, and then nobody has come along to start a league that would make all this money. It's like no one cares. You know, it's not. It's the open players' time. You know, and I'm trying to participate with the open players, but it's not our time. It's not. You know, there's. It's just not what people want. Now you can do specialty events where you bring back the legends. You know, traditionally in ball golf, the original skins match was Gary Player, Arnold Palmer, Lee Trevino, and Jack Nicklaus. And I think that two or three of them were past their prime when it was out, and there was nostalgia there, right? So I think you can have specialty events, but not a tour. It's sports. It's a young person's game. Let's see. When will I be back here in the Valley of the Sun? Can't wait to get into a clinic if you're running or watch you play. I don't know if I'll ever be back to Phoenix. I'm telling you, when I leave the country in October, I mean, we're going to be gone for at least a year. But then come October of 2023, I I don't know why I would come back to the U.S. because I also want to backpack in Patagonia. And there's tournaments in Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, and South Africa that take place over the winter as well. And I'm already like, I want to go to Africa and I want to go to South America. And so I'm not avoiding coming back, but there's just so much of the world to see. And I don't have too many years left. So I don't know. There needs to be a Scott Stokely movie. Yeah, that's going to happen. It's not a matter of if there's going to be a movie based on my autobiography. There 100% absolutely positively will be a movie. I think I have our investor. It's a handshake, but it's at least several years out from making. One of the things that I wanted to do for my movie was that I don't want to do something cheap. I really wanted to do something good, and that's really expensive. So the screenwriter to write the screenplay based on my book is costing between $50,000 and $100,000 to actually get a screenwriter with name recognition. Because if they have name recognition, you can get investors the millions of dollars to make the movie. The best screenplay in the world is in a group of thousands and thousands of really excellent screenplays out there that never get made. It's just the way Hollywood works. Investors bet on past successes. This is why you see the same actors every single movie. It's not a matter of this actor or actress being better than the other one. The reason they get in the movie is because this actor's last 6 movies showed a profit. So when you cast an actor that shows a profit in your movie, you can get investors because it's a safer bet. It's a really shitty system. It has nothing to do with art or quality. So what that means is no matter how good of a screenplay is written on my autobiography, if it doesn't have a name attached to it from a screenwriter who has previous successful movies, you can't get investors. Well, any screenwriter that has written profitable movies gets to charge between $50,000 and $100,000 for like 3 weeks work writing your screenplay. But anyways, I have the investor for that. So now we're seeking out the screenwriter, but we're probably 2 years away. It's happening. Guaranteed it's happening. Who plays Scott in the Stokely movie? Well, I already told Gannon Burr's mom that it was going to be Gannon. And I'm playing the part of Stork. Dan Roddick, I've already made that decision, and I'm playing the part of Dan. He's one of my heroes. But by the way, Gannon Burr might be too old in 2 years. But fortunately, there's about 1 million good disc golfing kids out there, and about 75% of them are tall and lanky. So, top 5 favorite movies. Okay, well, first one's easy. Obviously, Willy Wonka. That's a stupid question. Willy Wonka, Pulp Fiction.
The original Willy Wonka.
Oh, the original. Don't even. Oh my God! Don't even get me started. There was no remake of Willy Wonka. Tim Burton is the Antichrist as far as I'm concerned because he remade Willy Wonka. No, the original Willy Wonka, for sure. Pulp Fiction, for sure. There's a Korean movie that came out about 5 years ago called The Handmaiden, which made it to my top 5 list. I like Forrest Gump. And God, what's the 5th one going to be? To Kill a Mockingbird. How about that? By the way, that could change tomorrow. All of them.
It'll change later tonight.
It'll change later tonight, except for Willy Wonka. That'll never change. Oh, and who can forget Revenge of the Nerds? Obviously, that's the sixth man. The difference between my bergs and others. I make money off my bergs, and the other ones I make. Well, I still make money because I sell them, but I make less money. I mean, Tour Series bergs they have value in the sense that you're supporting your player. It's just a different world. But ultimately, it's no different than any other sport as a way of supporting players. If it was NFL, you buy your favorite player's jersey, and that player is making money off it. Somewhere down the line, the player's making money off the jersey sold with a name on it. Well, these are just our jerseys. So if you have a player that you like and you want to support, buy a Tour Series disc. I totally encourage it because it's sports. If you enjoy watching and that's your player, then support them. But they don't fly differently. How many people to get a Stokely clinic locally? Will I help? Where are you located, Ryan?
But online, that's the way to go.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I mean, I do online classes. I'll be announcing my next run of online classes here before too long.
Because unless you're in Europe, locally is not going to happen.
Oh, yeah, no, but we have a couple like East Coast days that are going to open up this year, but very few left. Stall, felon, or both. Need to fill that slot in my bag. The stall and the felon are very similar discs. I think the felon flies a little bit faster, cuts a little bit harder. The stall flies a little bit truer, so they're different, but the difference is subtle. I think one of the mistakes players make, and I can't speak to you specifically, but like the buzz and the rock are different to about 80 people, and the other 15 million people, they're straight flying mid-ranges. So I think what happens is a lot of players get caught up in differences where like you've got to be at a certain level before you can actually see the differences. I think a lot of it's mental at this point. So like I think the stall and felon are used for slightly different shots, but it is slight. You could get away with just having one. Now, I do have Tour Series stalls, and I will have Tour Series felons coming out. So I love them both. They're a little different, but not huge. My favorite part of coaching or teaching. All right, well, I'm always honest with everybody. My favorite part of coaching or teaching is the money. Boy, that's what you're not supposed to say, right? You're supposed to give this bullshit response. No, this is my job and this is my career. And the fact that I can make really good money that allows me to travel around the world doing disc golf for a living because I can afford to do that now is the most important thing. Now, having said that, like I'm not a psychopath or like a sociopath. Like I love watching players get better. I love hold on, can you grab my charger?
Yeah.
One of the things that I would debate, and I'll debate this till I'm blue in the face, that I think what I do is really, really important in the world. And that'd be a hell of a debate because you have all these people out there that fight fires and they fight crime and they take a heart out of a dying person and put it in a person that makes them live. I mean, there's really important people out there, right? How could teaching disc golf be important? Except I would make the argument that there's almost nothing more important in life than the things that give us joy and the things that give us pleasure. It's a really important thing to have that. Now, disc golf is fun, right? Kind of. Disc golf is fun when you're not struggling. The game of golf, and I'm not talking disc golf, just golf in general, is one of the most painful things in the entire world when you're not playing well. Not playing golf poorly is just about the same as going to the dentist. It sucks. So when I teach players to play better, I often feel like, not often, I always look at it as you're going to find more joy doing this thing that you might do for the next 30 or 40 years. I think that's super important. I really think what I do is important. And maybe that's arrogant, but I think it is. I love that so much. But the number one thing is the fact that I can do disc golf for a living. I can live my life free. I can travel. I'm not doing a job that I hate. So I think, I hate to say it, but I think the money that I'm making, especially now because I'm not struggling, I've spent many years being a poor disc golfer. I've slept in countless rest areas and people's floors, counting change to get to tournaments. The fact that I'm doing well now, mind blown. So yeah, I hate to say it. I sound so superficial, but it matters. You're on one of the 6 in my seminar on the 15th. Can't wait to finally get a solid forehand. I was thinking of canceling that one. Are we canceling the one on the 15th?
No.
Okay, no, we're not going to cancel it. Okay, I thought about it. You will absolutely 100%, I guarantee you, have a sidearm when you leave the seminar. That's what you're paying for. What does the word golf mean to you? It's simple. Golf is the greatest sport in the entire world. Now, I'm not differentiating between ball golf and disc golf. The sport of golf is the greatest sport in the entire world. And here's why I say this. It's not because I play it. The reason why I say this is because in all the other major sports, all of the best players in that sport golf. And not only do they all golf, all of them would give their left arms to get better at golf. That's the only sport I can think of. It's not like every single major sports athletes in the offseason bowl or play tennis or go to the YMCA and play basketball. No, they all golf. So that tells me the sport of golf is the greatest sport in the entire world. I happen to think disc golf is, I personally feel it's better than ball golf for 3 reasons. Well, first off, all the things that make ball golf great, every single one of them, we get in disc golf. The idea of competing against the course and not yourself, the idea of making one good shot that makes you happy all week, the leagues, the tournaments, the competition, the mental game, the ups and downs, the zen, the exercise, the being outdoors, everything ball golf offers, disc golf offers, except 3 things that we also offer. Number 1, we cost less money, especially when you're getting into the sport. You might spend a fortune on discs if it becomes your passion, but that's like any passion. But you can get into the sport for very little money. You can play with your families for very little money. It's an actual family game that anybody can do. It's not for a small group of players. Number 2, disc golf does not take 5 hours. You can get off work the majority of the year and get a round of disc golf in before dark. Or if you can't for 3 months every year, you can for the other 9 months. And this doesn't get talked about enough, but the variety that we have in disc golf compared to ball golf is so much greater. Now, I know if you're into ball golf, you're going to say every ball golf course is different. Of course, they're all different. But the similarity between different ball golf courses is far more than the similarity between our courses. We've got woods. We play on ball golf courses. We have open courses. We play on the side of mountains. We play at ski resorts. We play on beaches. We play through redwood forests. We play in deserts. We get a far larger variety of terrain in our sport. And between those 3 things, we get everything that ball golf has, and we got 3 things ball golf doesn't. That's why disc golf is doing this. And like we've passed. We are golf. Were you out of the bergs during your seminar a few days in Michigan? I'm going to buy one now. Any chance you can sign it for me? So I was out of my bergs in Michigan. I just got them. Well, I was out of them in the last several places. I just got them in yesterday. I think it was yesterday, right? No,
just this morning, actually.
Oh, dogs. It was yesterday. Yesterday I got them in. So I just did get them in. There's no chance of signing them. They're being shipped out of Georgia, though.
There are some lutes available.
There's some signed lutes available on the website. And I'll give the plug, by the way. Scott Stokely Bergs, Available at scottstokely.net. This is Bergapalooza, but not just Scott Stokely Bergs. There's 4 different types of Bergs at scottstokely.net. 3 of them aren't tour series, so they're not as cool because they're not tour series, but they're also like $7 less because they're not tour series. They're just Bergs. But it seems as that you almost can't find Bergs anywhere else. You can buy these at scottstokely.net. They're hard to find, but I have them. I have them all.
Tell everybody to send messages to their friends right now.
Yeah.
When they're gone.
Oh yeah. By the way, yeah, when they're gone, they're gone. So post to your Facebook page and social media. Tell your friends if they're looking for Bergs. That's where you can find them. Hey, y'all want to see something really cool? This is the same shirt, right?
Yeah.
Have you all seen this? This is my new clothing line. It's the Scott Stokely Universe. This is a artistic representation of like what goes on inside my head. I think. This is the front of the shirt. And this is the back of the shirt. This is from our favorite artist ever. His name is Creative Rob. He is the best artist that both of us have ever seen. And you can buy these jerseys. You just also go to scottstokely.net. There's a link to buy the jerseys. Any thoughts on the Nico issue? Sure. Why not? My thoughts are Nico's my friend, first and foremost. Nico's a good guy. He's always been good to me. I like Nico. He's my friend. So I have nothing and would never have anything bad to say about anybody, but not Nico. I think some things need to change that Nico can work on. But here's what I hope. That I think Nico would be the first to tell you that he screwed up. And I hope that there's a path back for him. Because last I checked, none of us perfect. Like if there wasn't a path back for me, I wouldn't have this amazing life right now because like I was far worse than confronting a tournament official at a tournament when I was doing my stuff 7-8 years ago. And there was a path back for me. So there's got to be a path back for Nico. So what I would say about Nico is hate the actions. You have a problem with the actions. That is completely acceptable. I have a problem with that behavior on the course. I have a problem with those actions. That does not mean that's a bad guy. That means that's someone that messed up. And you can say, oh, we screwed up multiple times because of his. Okay, well, then you can say that too. That still doesn't define who Nico is as a human being. He's a great guy. So he'll come back. What do I do to get mentally strong during tournaments so I can compete just as strongly as playing when it doesn't truly count? So here's the thing. I am like 90-something% of players out there. It's not 100%, but 97% of players out there. Whereas I play best in my relaxed, calm state. Basically, I'm the player that if I played league night, I would play better at league nights than tournaments, or I'd play better in practice than at league night. So it's not about being mentally strong. For me, it's not about finding a level of intensity. It's about the exact opposite. It's about replicating where my mind is when I'm at my best. And where I'm at my best is when I'm happy and relaxed and having fun. That doesn't require mental strength. It's the opposite. Being mentally strong is a lot of work. Adriana walks around with me every single round. We don't talk about disc golf at all. Like we spent half the round today talking about where we're going to have dinner. And I played really well. And by the way, that does not mean I'm not suggesting that you or anybody else should be talking about something specific just because I talk about it. Some players play better when they get into this intense mindset and only focus on the round. They don't want to be distracted because they're focusing. Well, some players do play better that way, and hats off to them. They figured out what works for them. I'm not one of those players. So to me, mentally strong is just to be relaxed and have fun. Nothing bothers me. Nothing ever bothers me in the disc golf course. There's so many real problems in the world, and none of them have anything to do with how well I threw my Frisbee. My wife is thinking about playing her first tournament FA3. She believes she's not ready, but how do I motivate her to still jump in and just do it regardless of where she places. Well, okay, so this is a tough one because, well, first off, I told you I was an expert in relationships, so we're gonna delve into a little bit of non-disc golf stuff here. But I don't think you can push anybody to do anything. And by the way, this has nothing to do with you're a man, you shouldn't push the woman. I would say that she shouldn't push you to do anything either. I think that you just allow the person to pursue something if they want to pursue it, and if they don't, you don't. Like that's like there's no motivating someone to do something. If they want to, they will. And I tend to just I believe in coexisting with a person, but then living independently from them in some ways as well. So I think the best thing you can do is continue to do everything within your power to make disc golf fun for her. Take the pressure away. There's no there's no pressure, there's no stress, there's no drama. And the more it's fun, it's likely she's going to want to continue playing and pursue it more. But the minute you push, I don't know about you, but when I get pushed, I push back. So
Same with children, right?
it's almost the same as with children, right? I mean, yeah, like that's just a natural response. Um, so it's I think it's up to her. When am I coming to St. Louis to visit the Gateway Shop again? I might actually be in St. Louis after the Big Money Skins match in October. I think we're flying out of there to go to Hawaii, then Australia in October. So maybe end of October. I like the relationship advice, by the way. Ooh, I like this. You want to hear the best relationship advice I ever heard? This was okay. I didn't remember Don Shen, the 100-year-old disc golfer. I think he did actually turn 100 before he passed, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so he made it to 100 before he passed, and I had him on my podcast, and I asked him, this is so old school, like this. Love that man. I asked him. He said he's married, and he says I asked him how old his wife was, and he's 100 years old. He says my wife is 90, and I said, okay, do you still look at her and think, she's a younger woman? Like, do you still see her as younger? He says, oh yeah, I see her as she's definitely much younger than me. She's only 90. And I said, and Don played one round of disc golf every single day. So every day he went to play disc golf. And so I asked him, I said, does your wife like it when you play disc golf every day? And he says, no. Every time I leave the house, she gets upset at me and complains about me going to play disc golf. And I said, well, what do you do? He says, I leave and go play disc golf. And I was like, yes, that's the correct response. And by the way, I have no idea where that came from, how that segued into disc golf and relationships. But that is the independent way of thinking that I couldn't agree with more. But I don't think he should be telling her what she should be doing with her hobbies either. So I think it's equal. All right, Jomez mic'd up practice round. Yeah, message Jomez and tell them that you want them to do a mic'd up round with me, and I would do it. But they haven't asked me yet. Have you ever tried the Bonapane grip, or your hands too big for that grip? Okay, this is Joe Orsino, everybody. This is my very first disc golf coach almost 45 years ago. He taught me the backhand. He taught me the sidearm. He taught me the X-step. He taught me all sorts of things. And the grip he's talking about is a grip with the thumb here and the finger over the top of the grip. It is not the same as the Kevin Jones grenade, which is index finger, thumb on top of it. But a few players still grip with this grip. Al Bonapane created that grip in 1979. And I have experimented with that. But I've experimented with every grip, and I found the grip that worked for me, which was a pinch grip, which is like a fan grip with the fingers pulled in. But there's no such thing as a correct grip. There's always going to be individual grips based on hands. So do some of the best forehand players on tour release the disc with their palm up or serve the pizza? Nope. That is an incorrect way to throw. You do not throw with your palm up. You do not serve the pizza. That is the biggest myth in disc golf throwing technique. For about 8 years, I said the biggest myth was this myth that you keep the elbow close to the body when you throw a sidearm. That's complete nonsense. And finally, I think I got everybody to stop teaching that by yelling at everybody. Like, what are you guys talking about? That could not be more wrong. Well, that palm up, serve the pizza thing is wrong. Here, I'm going to go through an exercise. Y'all want to do a quick exercise? There's 140 of you in the room. Everybody follow along with me. All right. So every single person, 141 of you, every single one of you, hold a baseball in your hand. Just make believe. Hold a baseball in your hand and put 2 fingers behind the baseball. So you're holding the ball with 2 fingers behind it. Now, go through the motion of very slowly, but go through the motion of your arm if you were throwing the ball from left field to second base. Fingers behind the ball. Every one of you will do this, right? That's how you throw a ball. 2 fingers behind the ball, you throw like this. Now, everybody hold the baseball in your throwing hand again. And this time, throw the baseball, just go through the motion slowly, again, from left field to second base. But instead of throwing an overhand, throw a sidearm. And every one of you is going to do the same thing. If it was a ball, you would throw like this, right? The fingers are behind the baseball. That's how you would get the ball to second base fast. Now, one more. Just for the heck of it. And you would never do this for real for obvious reasons. But now, hold the baseball in your hand, put the 2 fingers behind the ball, get ready to throw the sidearm. Now, you're going to throw the baseball to second base with a sidearm, but this time, what I want you to do is put backspin on the ball. Now, obviously, you would never throw a baseball with backspin to second base because the ball would take twice as long to get there. But you would throw this motion right here, right? That's how you would put backspin on that baseball. That's not how you throw. Backspin on the baseball is the same thing as throwing a sidearm golf disc with your palm up, serving the pizza. Your wrist has very little mobility this direction. It has tons of mobility this direction. Not only that, you have almost no strength when you move your wrist back and forth like this. You have a ton of strength like this. That's how you throw a sidearm. You do not throw with the palm up. You throw like this. Now, are there some players that throw palm up because that's how they learn to throw short? But the 52-year-old throws 100 feet farther than them. Like, by the way, that's not supposed to happen. The old guy's not supposed to throw 100 feet farther than you with more accuracy. Not to mention, you're also going to hurt yourself because that is a very unnatural motion. That is currently the biggest myth in disc golf throwing technique. I'm working on it, though. Zazzle, live in Japan. There is a Legends and other old age divisions in almost all tournaments due to how disc golf is mostly played on by the older generation here. Yeah, there's always going to be age protected divisions. Definitely. And there should be, right? Disc golf is for everybody, and everybody should be able to compete in a division where they're competitive, where there's players in that division that if you don't play well, they're going to beat you. But hopefully you're in a division where if you get hot, you can, finish near the top. Of course, there's an older players division. That's fantastic. The question from earlier was, I think there's going to have its own tour? That's where I don't know if there's going to be. By the way, let me rephrase what I said earlier. At some point, someone's going to string together a series of events where they're going to be like, it's 40 and older tournaments. Or just like there's women's only tournaments or juniors tournaments. I mean, that's probably going to exist. But will that be a tour that players come out to watch that gets coverage? That's right.
No sponsorship dollars.
Yeah, there's sponsorship dollars. That I don't think so. I would love to be wrong, but my opinion is that I don't think so. All right, y'all. Tour Series bergs at scottstokely.net, but there's 4 different bergs available at scottstokely.net. 2 K1s, a K3 hard, and a K3 soft. Only one of them is Tour Series, which are the cool ones because they're Tour Series. But the non-tour series are also, I think, $7 cheaper because they're not tour series discs. So ScottStokely.net, it's some of the only Bergs left out there. I asked you about Lily and you avoided it. Is there a reason for that? Her father is a disc golfer. When did you ask about Lily?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. I didn't see that pop on. I'm not reading the questions that are coming through. I'm only reading the questions that pop onto the screen in front of me. I'm not purposely. Well, no, go. Hold on a minute. I'm not purposely avoiding, but the questions come in faster than I can answer them. So I'm not. There's no intent to avoid a certain question. It's just that I answer a question and then one pops on the screen. So what was the question about Lily? Hold on. Let's go back. I don't want anybody to feel like they were sliding though.
I'll try and find it, or you can ask it again.
Okay. Is my movie going to include the back of the truck four-wheel driving scene? Well, it depends, because that would change the rating of the movie, and I might sell less tickets. But that was a great day.
Anybody wants to know that story can read the book.
Yeah, if you want to know the story, read the book. But a spoiler alert, it was the first time I saw boobs. 4 of them, in fact. It's one of the best days of my life. I was like 12. All right. Would love to see Scott against Colleen and Mike the practice round, possibly 2 of the best forehands ever. Yeah, I love Colleen. He's one of my all-time favorite people in disc golf. And I would work on any project with that guy and have a blast. Where's the question that came in about Lily, though? I don't want to miss that one. Have I seen Robin Hood Men in Tights or Idiocracy? I have seen them both. Okay, so I love Robin Hood Men in Tights, but when you're looking at Mel Brooks, like, it's Blazing Saddles. Period.
Absolutely.
Like, I think it starts with Blazing Saddles and there's a trickle down into oh God, The Producers was great, and of course History of the World. My God, I still sing the Inquisition song when I get bored. Young Frankenstein. Oh my God, yeah. So there's so many. Top 10 1,015 or lower players. Well, that would be me. It's hard to say. I mean, it's hard. Like, it's really hard to say. I would say that's where you're starting to get a lot of the really good MP50 players. I mean, people like Jonathan Baldwin and God, there's just so many good. That's a really good question. It's hard. It's a young person's sport. Elaborate, please. Okay, no. So thank you for asking about that. No, when I say to young person sports, I'm talking about when people watch a sport on TV. They rarely watch the senior version of sports. Even though the players in that sports might have been legendary in their times, there just isn't a market of 50-year-old basketball players. It's not that 50-year-olds can't play basketball. It's not great exercise and a great activity. It's that people go to NBA games. They don't go to the senior NBA. So when I say it's a young person sport, I'm only talking about in terms of when they were asking if there was going to be a senior pro tour. I think it's a hard sell. I just think it's more difficult because people want to watch Gannon Burr and Paul McBeth and
You're
Paige Pierce.
About, spectatorship, not participation.
Yeah. Now, as far as participation, it's a sport for everybody. So that's what I meant. So yeah, so don't misunderstand. Of course, it's for everybody competitively. Most players that have Tour Series discs change the mold a bit. They're modifying the signature Tour Series discs. Yeah. So they do change it. So yes, they do change the molds a little bit. Or they tell you that they did, which also happens. The Marvels, for example, that I put out are stiff in the stiff plastic. That was the only place you could find the stiff plastic for a while. Eventually, Birdie, we had in our contract, there was a finite amount of time where the stiff Marvels were the only stiff Marvels, and they're going to come out softer. But I'll also be doing the high-end plastic Marvels as well coming soon. So yes, I did change those, and some of them I didn't. Some of them were just hot stamp. Stokely Clinic in SoCal. Not anytime soon. I have no plans to go to California before I leave the country in October, and I'm going to be gone for a bare minimum of 13 months out of the country. Could you suggest tour series? Could all your suggested tour series discs work for beginner player? Yeah, 100% for sure. All my tour series discs would work for beginner player. I'm not saying that because they're my tour series discs, because I do have some tour series discs coming out, like the Enforcer and the Lucid X Felon, which would not be good for newer players. They're way too overstable, require a lot more speed. Any of the high speed discs are not going to be for newer players, but everything I've released so far is a slower, well, I mean, the Stall and the Lutz and the Assassin are fairway drivers. But then the Harp is a mid-range, and then the Berg, the Marvel, and the Wizard are putters. So it just so happens that I've been releasing these first. So all of my Tour Series discs are great for beginner players, but it doesn't mean they'll always be. Did your girlfriend tell you about the crazy guy, Deglo, that said to her, "I love your boyfriend," and she laughed and said, "Me too"? I hope that made her day as much. Love you both. Of course. Actually, you did tell me about that, didn't you? Yeah. No, I love. What's better than love? But it's 2022. You had your shot. Now we left town. Sorry. In your classes, do I teach players how to deal with caddies always turning their backs to you, effectively shunning you? It's way too commonplace. You mean the caddies with the bags on their backs that turn their backs? Yeah. No, I'm gonna do something about caddying. Let's see. I would say that
shunning is from the heart. So
yeah, shunning is from the heart, or it comes from the Amish community as a technical term. No, I think that's really funny though. I get it. It's funny. He can now afford more expensive glasses. That's right. These are not dollar store glasses, y'all. I've been buying Dollar Tree glasses, 10 at a time for years, because every 3 days I lose them, sit on them, step on them, crack them in my bag, whatever. But yeah, a couple of weeks ago I went to Dollar General and I bought the 3 for $10 pack. Yeah. And
I still
actually,
want to find you a
by the way, here's the stupidest thing about this, because the readers work perfectly for me. I don't need prescription glasses. I can't do $300 glasses. I would break them like every 3 days. So I just have been buying the dollar store glasses because, like, who cares? I go through a pair every 3 days. It turns out that the $3 glasses are actually way better than the dollar glasses. These actually stay in my head. So, but I think that's the most I'm ever going to spend on glasses, at least for now. Favorite snacks during the round. I do high protein, low sugar, or no sugar snacks during the round. I've become very anti-sugar, and I'm very much not a carb person when I'm competing. I think that the carb thing leads to ups and downs because carbs just turn into sugar, and I think that you have more highs and lows. So I'm more of a high protein, and then fat too. Fat's good for you, but I don't do the carbs. It's about the only thing. Why did I choose the Berg to putt with? Well, I chose the Berg to putt with because when I started putting with it, I loved it and it went great. I stopped putting with it because it turns out it wasn't the best putter out there. The Marvel was better. One of the interesting things that happened was last year I was like, I'm a great putter. I putt the Berg and I'm awesome. I was also playing against 40 and 50-year-olds. And so my perception was a little bit off, because as soon as I started competing against the best in the world, I was, next thing you know, I was 103rd in Circle 1X putting. Circle 1X putting is everything. That is by far, hands down, the single most important putting stat is Circle 1X, basically meaning anything inside 33 feet, but they're not counting the 10-footers. I was 103rd on the tour in Circle 1X putting, which is basically at the bottom. With the Berg, I switched to the Marvel, my Tour Series Marvel, and my very next tournament at the Dynamic Discs Open, I was 10th in Circle 1X putting. And right after that, I went to Masters Cup and I was 16th in Circle 1X putting. So I went from, one of the top 20 putters in the world after not being in the top 100. So I love the Berg, but once I started competing against the best in the world, it turned out it wasn't as good as I thought with it. Get that good Michigan ice cream while I'm here. I'm not eating ice cream till October. And then I'm going on a bender. No, I'm so disciplined right now with my diet and my health. No intention of being that disciplined the rest of my life. I'm not some health Nazi. I'm never going to be. But this year on the tour, because I'm 52 years old, I feel as though I need to do all the things that are under my control perfectly. Like I can't control that my 52-year-old body doesn't respond as well as my 25-year-old body when playing sports. So I can't control the age. But the things I can control is our diet, exercise, sleep. So I'm just basically diligently being as close, not perfect, but very good on my diet, and no sugar.
But where is it? I want to go. Tell me where the good ice cream is.
Yeah, but where's the ice cream? Oh, but I take Adriana ice cream every night. I ask if they have sugar free, and if they don't, I just don't have any. But if you know a place in Lansing, buy your first cart today. You bought sweet. Oh, I love it. Yeah. So the Scott Stokely disc golf carts, it gotta go, gotta throw. They're fantastic, and you're gonna love it. Thank you so much for buying that, Ben. You're really gonna like it. The thing about my carts that are so cool is that not only can you sit on them, which that's kind of mandatory for carts, but mine has a backrest. You can actually lean back on the cart, and it does make a difference being able to lean back. It really does. It truly does. So great following my card at Deaglo. I played like a champ. Thank you so much. Yeah, I played well. It's just players are so good. I didn't play bad. You know, it's one of those things where like I shot 5 under for 3 rounds at Deaglo, which is middle of the pack. And you would have to actually go out and play that tournament in a tournament setting to understand how good that is. Like that is so good. It was like 1,012, 1,015 rate.
Yeah, I think it was 10-15.
It was like 10, it was like 1,000, 10, 13, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like it was really good golf. And it just so happens that there's just a lot of really good players out there. I can tell you this, the way I played out there 20 years ago is easily top 4 at the World Championships level play. Easily. 10, 15 rated golf. Do I have any good memories of Oklahoma? I got good memories everywhere. Let me think of a good Oklahoma memory.
Tilt that down a little bit so that
I'll tilt it down.
so the box is in your face.
Okay. A good Oklahoma memory. God, there's so many.
The Norman Pro-Am?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Like I have to ask you. Yeah, my very first tournament ever on tour was in 1993 at the Norman Pro-Am. This is a tournament where first off, there was no chance of winning because Mitch McClellan and Clint McClellan both lived in Norman. So like pretty much like they're going to finish 1 and 2. That was a given. That was a fact. But I had a chance at 3rd place back then. And then Sam Ferens, like he drives nonstop from Los Angeles to Norman, Oklahoma, like 36 hours, doesn't sleep, shows up like an hour or half an hour before the tournament on no sleep, which is it's impossible to, number one, be sitting for 36 hours. Number 2, haven't slept. Number 3, he's playing the course blind. And basically the way this course worked is half the courses at Northeast Lions, you have to throw like over the trees and it's blind. You have to like know what tree to hit, like whatever. I mean, like it was a joke. The fact that he actually drove all that way thinking he could play. And then he shot 4 rounds bogey free and won. And it's on a very short list of most impressive things I've ever seen. Like he shows up and I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? Like, and then he wins the tournament. It was one of the sickest things I've ever seen. So yeah, I'll put that up there. That's an Oklahoma story. By the way, and I did finish 4th place. I also lost to Mitch and Clint, exactly like I said. Most memorable ace. I got an ace in the final 9. So I got an ace in the finals at the Kansas City Wide Open. That one was pretty sweet. My first ace was at hole 10 at Oak Grove Park back in like 1983. So that's probably still like, I don't think any ace ever made me happier than my first ace. I was jumping up and down on the rocks and like losing my shit. I was like 13 years old. Getting ready to order an SSU. Oh, there. How's the sizing run? True, small, exchange is available if not right. Yeah, you can definitely exchange them. But
athletic.
They're athletic sizing.
Yeah.
So yeah. By the way, yeah, those jerseys are so good.
Hold it up again.
Yeah, I'll let everybody know if you haven't seen these. The Scott Stokely Universe. These are available at scottstokely.net. Is that like the sickest thing you've ever seen? That's the jersey. And it's the Scott Stokely Universe because we already have a second design ready to put up. And every month we're going to put up a new design that all takes place in this same universe. My last tournament at U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championships, I listened to music and didn't keep score, just played my lines. I started doing the same in practice, helped you a lot. By the way, first off, hello, Flea. How are you doing? One of my favorite people out there, Felicia. It's so great to hear from you. Yeah, that's one of the things. Do what you do when you're at your best. Replicate where you play your best in a tournament setting. Don't change where you're at your best because it's a tournament and then play worse and then wonder why you played worse. Of course you played worse than you did over here, because over here is where you're like, that's where your mind is best, right? Here, y'all want to hear a funny story? This is a true story, but this is one of the best illustrations of mindset, about replicating the mindset that you're in, or a mistake a lot of players make. And this is, by the way, the part where I'm about to shit all over sports psychologists. You know, those people that know way more than me about sports psychology, and they're way more educated than me on sports psychology, and they're way smarter than me. And I think they mostly all get this one wrong. So I had a player come up to me. It's a story, but this will illustrate my philosophy on this. So a player comes up to me and says, I have a problem with first hole jitters. Whenever I play a tournament, I always get nervous on the first hole. And then I bogey, or if I bogey the first two holes because of these first hole jitters. And I said, well, okay, when you hear the 2-minute horn telling you it's 2 minutes till tee off, what do you do? And he says, well, here, I got these exercises that I got from this sports psychology book. And I immediately thought, oh, this is going to be rich, right? Like, obviously, this book wasn't helping you, or else you wouldn't be asking me for advice. But this is what he says. I'm going to try to quote him here. He says, all right, so as soon as I hear the 2-minute horn, 2 minutes till tee off, the first thing I do, the book, so all the things the book says, he says, I walk over by myself. I separate myself from the group and I close my eyes. And then once I close my eyes, I try to visualize a line inside of my head, from the left side of my head to the right side, from the front to the back, and another one from the top to the bottom. And I visualize these lines. And when I visualize them, I can see they're not touching inside my head. So I know I'm not centered. I have no idea what this means, but according to the sports psychology book, he's not centered. So he says, so I use my mind and I try to like move these lines around in my head, and I just do it until I finally get them all to converge at one spot inside my head at one point. Then I know I'm centered. Then to relax, I take 3 big breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. I do that 3 times, and then I walk over, I tee off, and I have first hole jitters, and I bogey the first hole. And I said, I'm like, wow. I go, let me tell you what I'm going to paraphrase what this book just said to do. So the book says, all right, so you get nervous at tournaments. Well, how many different ways can we make the tournament as big a deal as possible? Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go isolate from your friends. You can't be around your friends. It's a tournament. It's different. So you isolate from your friends. And then it says, oh, by the way, it's not around a disc golf. Like, you need to do mental tricks that you don't need to do when you practice and play league night, because it's a tournament. It's a really big deal. You got to do mental tricks. Oh, and by the way, I know you've been breathing your entire life, but it's a tournament. You have to breathe differently because it's a tournament. Like, of course you're nervous on the first hole. Everything that book said to do was how can we make this into a bigger deal when what it should have been doing is making the tournament into a smaller deal. So I said, you need to replicate your practice rounds. I go, so what do you do at league night when you're not nervous? He's right before you tee off. Oh, and he says, well, I text my kids, tell them to do their homework. I said, all right, when you hear the 2-minute warning in a tournament, text your kids. Like, don't turn a tournament into a tournament. Turn the tournament into league night. Everything you can possibly do. It's not a tournament. You're just playing disc golf with your friends. Because when you play disc golf with your friends at league night, you're not nervous. Now, I know it's easier said than done because it actually is a tournament. But that's the whole trick. Try to replicate where you're at your best. Don't turn a tournament into something bigger. So that's just a little bit off, like on a tangent there, but that's the trick. That is the number one trick to mental game, is to put your mind where it's at, where you're your best. Whatever that happens to be, replicate where you're at your best. Kansas City Wide Open, 1998.
Here, hold on, I gotta scroll back.
Yeah, that was a
Talk
long.
about the birds again.
Oh, Bergs. You can buy Scott Stokely Tour Series Bergs at scottstokely.net, but there's 4 different models of Bergs available at scottstokely.net.
It's Bergapalooza.
It's Bergapalooza.
These
3
are
of the
limited.
Bergs, the 3 of the Bergs aren't Tour Series. 3 of the Bergs are just regular Bergs. So they're not as cool because they're not Tour Series as far as the hot stamp. However, they're actually cooler in another sense because they're like $7 cheaper because they're just stock Bergs. But I have almost, like, they're hard to find Bergs out there because I have them all. So go check out scottstokely.net. By the way, everybody, I'll be doing this every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, for the entire month of August. And if it starts catching on and I get more and more people every Friday night, I'll keep doing them.
And you're gonna have different stuff.
Oh, every single Friday. Our warehouse person has countless amounts of like mystery discs and old discs that they have from years ago and boxes that he can dig out. So every Friday I'm introducing something new. So it's going to be really cool. Does an ace mean you're lucky twice that day? Lucky twice that day. Well, you're lucky once because of the ace. So I think there's something that just went over my head there. You're lucky to be alive?
Well, that's a good one.
Have I considered challenging Nico to a round, having a film like you did with Jeremy Coley and Ron Converse to help restore Nico's image? No, but I would do anything with Nico. Nico's a good guy. Nico's my friend, and he's a nice guy, and I like Nico. So I think what Nico needs to do is just, I think this is the most important thing. He's doing all the right things. He's taking some time off. He's going to come back, and then it just needs to not happen. And that's all it's going to be. Like nothing's more important than that. Coming back and it's like, hey, it's not this way anymore. The more that it's not that way, people are going to go, cool. So that's the biggest thing. But I would do anything for Nico. Like I said, Nico's a good guy and he's my friend. If I could play around with anyone alive or dead, who would it be? It would be Charles Darwin. I have a tattoo of Charles Darwin on my leg. I think I have the only Charles Darwin tattoo in the world, but who has the best sidearm in MPO? After me? I want to say I'm joking. I'm only barely joking. I will tell you, I'll put my sidearm up against anybody. If I don't win, it's not going to be by a lot. I'm 1,010 rated, but I'm also lacking in other areas that other players are better than me. So I am not that far. I would have to say right now, Chandler Kramer. I would say he's a 1,020 something player who only throws sidearm. And if you can throw only sidearm and throw 1,020, I don't know how many 1,040 players that they only threw sidearm would be 1,020. And even if they did, even if, like, say Ricky was a 1,020 player just throwing sidearms, which he might very well be, but Ricky's a better putter than Chandler, and they're both 1,020, it would mean that ultimately Chandler's sidearm was a little bit better. So I think Chandler Kramer's got the best sidearm in the world right now. That's my opinion. I mean, next to me. Let's not kid ourselves here. Rarely see you throw them, but are more comfortable with a thumber or a tomahawk. I threw a thumber on hole 16 today and parked it. Thumbers are easier than tomahawks. The reason why is because a thumber, your arm slot is between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock. It's a natural arm slot. The tomahawk is between 12 o'clock and all the way over here at 9 o'clock. Tomahawk is the more awkward angle to throw than a thumber, although you should have them both. But I would throw 18 thumbers on a course if the holes were thumber holes. So I threw 2 thumbers today off the tee pad. What would I say to someone that will be playing her first B-tier tournament who is 32 ratings points away from pro? I would say consider everything a process. So, well, first off, ratings are an indication of past performance. Ratings are I'm sorry for anybody that thinks that ratings aren't an accurate representation of skill level. They don't understand math. Math trumps everything, and if you understand math and how the ratings works, by the way, search for Scott Stokely and ratings on YouTube. I got a great video on how the ratings work. That isn't even based in math, but it explains that ratings are accurate. Ratings are good, but they do not predict the outcome of the next tournament. They're accurate representation of past performance, but they do not tell you what you're going to do this coming weekend. So don't let ratings get in your head when you're playing the next tournament. You're still playing the same course as everybody else. And if you are below players' ratings and then you finish below them, nothing wrong with that. Go out, practice, and do better next time. And then go out and practice and do better next time. Everything's a process. Especially you're young. You're like not near you aren't at your athletic peak yet. You're going to be getting, you're still going to improve for years. So go out and do your best. And then whatever you do, if you're not satisfied, work on the things that weren't working and then improve. How about we design a golf bag that's a backpack worn in the front? Just so the caddies don't have to shun their players.
I think biomechanically the load on the back is.
I think the load in the back would be bad. I suspect that backpacks would already be designed on the front. That sounds like one of those things that overly empathetic dads put on to try to empathize with their pregnant wives, right? Where they wear the things on the front.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And then they go, "We're pregnant," and it's like,
I don't know why that pregnant? Biologically hasn't fixed. Carrying the baby in the front is the most uncomfortable thing ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Fastest player on tour. Honestly, I don't know. There's nobody that's excessively fast. I would say 90-something% of the players out there play very fast. They mark their shot and throw.
But they play fast, or they're they just step up and not like.
Yeah, I think most players.
I think for me, observationally, I think it's KJ.
You think Kevin Jones?
Yeah.
Kevin Jones is pretty fast.
He just.
Yeah.
Boom, and he's running up the field.
But but since they started implementing that 30-second rule that you're not allowed to stop for breaks, I think most players actually play pretty efficient now. And we're not going to go down a rabbit hole for players that take too long. Don't even go there. I'm just ignoring this. But I think most players play fast. If I could play one course for the rest of my life, what would it be? I mean, the best course I've ever played is Eagles Crossing in Missouri. It truly is. Oak Grove Park will always be my number one course in the world. It's the very first disc golf course in the world. It's where I grew up. It'll always be nothing will ever be as special to me as Oak Grove. But as far as just a pure good golf course, Eagles Crossing is so damn hard. That's what I like about it. It's so hard. Did I announce my collaboration project with Seth Muncie yet? No, we're about to announce it though. We got we postponed it because we're actually setting up an entire Discord server around it, which is we're in the testing process right now, but it's going to make for a much better class that Seth and I are going to be teaching. So we postponed a little bit, but we will be announcing it actually really soon. Playing my first tournament tomorrow. 2 rounds of 18 the same day. Any words of wisdom? I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, I got some wisdom. So it's your first tournament. First and foremost, have fun. Everyone tells you that. Just have fun. Make friends. You know, one of the things about tournaments is that you're going to be playing with the same people and over again. So make friends. You know, one of the things that I think that just doesn't get enough credit as far as how important it is it's really important to focus, or it's very important to be the type of person people want to play with also. In other words, you're respectful, you're not making noise or moving when people are playing, you know, you're helping them find their discs, you're not breaking rules. Now, it's your first tournament, you may you don't know all the rules, right? I mean, you're not going to be perfect, and you're allowed to make mistakes. And most rules when you're new, not all of them, but a lot of the rules when you're new, they're going to be just kind of warnings, even if technically you're supposed to be penalized for it. Usually when you're new, players will say, yeah, just be more careful next time. Not always, though. And by the way, if someone does call you on a rule and you take a penalty stroke, if that's the rule, don't get mad at them. It's not their fault. You broke the rule. Like, technically, it's your responsibility to know them. But don't worry about it. Don't feel pressure. But have fun, make friends, be someone that people want to play with. And then you'll have a good experience. Am I coming to Iowa for the Des Moines Challenge? Of course I'm coming to the Des Moines Challenge. I can't wait to be in Des Moines. Have I ever played in Virginia? If so, where in Virginia? Yeah, I've played a number of times in Virginia. I've played in Richmond. I've played in at the Grange. I played Virginia States. I've played. I won one tournament out there on this one course. I can't remember. I won like last year. I won L'Oriella. I think I won that tournament.
Was that Virginia?
Yeah, that was L'Oriella. I won that tournament. Yeah, a bunch of times. Have I played in Tennessee? Absolutely. I've won tournaments in Memphis. I've won tournaments in Nashville. I have, I've played all over Tennessee. I've lost tournaments there too, but I think I won I'm pretty sure I won a tournament in Kingsport, although maybe Dr. Rick won that. Yeah, I've played everywhere. I've played in 48 states, everywhere except for Alaska and Vermont. And Vermont is happening in about 2 months. You installed a disc golf course for your Eagle Scout project. I'm a very inspirational person. Well, I appreciate that. I've been through the shit and I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. So if I can live a life that people can kind of gravitate towards, then I'm super proud of that. Maybe you don't have to make all the mistakes I made.
This is like the perfect follow-up question.
I've seen great times and had troubled times. What keeps you so positive, happy at 50? Like, honestly, yeah, y'all want to hear a little bit of a little miniature rant on the key to happiness? Would anybody like to know the key to happiness? Because it took me 52 years, but I figured it out. Actually, I'm not even going to ask you. It's my channel. I'm going to tell you the key to happiness. Ready for this? So the key to happiness is you have to figure out your own path in life. Now, that might seem obvious, like everyone tells you, you know, find a job that you enjoy doing, you'll never work a day in your life, and find a good wife or husband or whatever you want to call it. Not necessarily true. So your path in life may or may not look anything like what society or what your parents or even your friends or what television tells you your path in life is supposed to look like. What you got to do is you got to wipe the slate clean and start from scratch. Don't have any preconceived ideas of what your career needs to look like, what your home needs to look like, what your relationship needs to look like. Like none of it. Start from scratch and ask yourself, what do you want to do in life? How do you want your life to look? And when you start from scratch without preconceived ideas, you find that a lot of things aren't exactly what you thought. For example, everyone knows you got to have a 9 to 5 job. You got to have a 9 to 5 job. You got to work 51 weeks every year to take a week off. And you got to do that for 40 years before you save up enough money. Because when you're in your 60s, then you can maybe buy an RV and travel around the country. Like, that's what you're supposed to do with your life. And plenty of people are perfectly happy doing that. But when you take a step back, you might realize, I don't want to work 51 weeks every year. Or I don't want a 9 to 5 job. Okay, well, then you won't be happy doing it. You can't do it just because you're supposed to live this way. Same thing in relationships. Adriana and I have a very unique relationship. And don't ask, I'm not going into details, but we have a very unique relationship. A normal, traditional way of relationships doesn't work for us. But it started with us figuring out that we're not meant to live like everyone else. We live our own path, and that's where we find happiness. I think if you live your life the way other people think you're supposed to live it, I think it's borderline impossible to be happy. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's damn hard. But if you figure out what your path looks like, what's important to you, and then just live your own truth, then you can be happy. But it starts with wiping the slate clean of every perceived ideas. Your parents, your religion, your schools, television, just wipe it all out of your brain. Start from scratch. I think that's the key. But yeah, so right now, by the way, answer your question, why am I so happy? Because I am living exactly how I want to live my life. There's not one thing about my life that I would do differently than I'm doing right now. Like, how the hell can I not be happy? I'm like doing exactly what I want to do. Let's see. Think any shot from your past, whatever topped a shot from the Big Bucks Eagle Crossing Skins match. Yeah, I had some big shots in my life, and but this is the one that's on video that I'll be remembered for, and I don't want to start any rumors, but there could be a documentary coming out about me in that shot in about 2 months. Just saying. By the way, not me. It's possible, hypothetically, that a documentary filmmaker contacted me a couple months ago and told me they wanted to make a documentary about me in that shot. Are there any discs I like to throw but don't throw in tournaments? No. Nope. Everything I like, I throw. How did I get so good looking? Jordan, you're officially one of my favorite people. In fact, my favorite people in the entire world are people that think I'm handsome, closely followed by people that think I'm smart, and almost as cool as people that think I'm clever. So I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. This is funny. This is God's honest truth, and I'm being completely honest about this. Like, relative to my age, I think this is the best I've ever looked in my life. Like, I don't look as good as any 25-year-old in the world, right? Because when you're older, it's like when you're younger, it's just, I'm sorry, it's reality. But I'm in such good shape and so healthy right now that I look at myself now and I'm like, yeah, it's not too bad. Well, and I didn't used to think that. When I was younger, I was like, I'm too skinny. I did this, I did that. I didn't like the way I looked. I think this is the first time I've ever liked the way I looked in my life.
Genetically, we happen to know that it's from your father's side of the family because you and your brother look like brothers.
Yeah, me and my brother look like brothers.
Even though you didn't know you had a brother.
Yep. But again, I like the way you think, Jordan. Is there a difference between K3 and K3 hard? Well, the K3 hard's stiffer, but they basically are going to fly the same. So they're effectively the same. They're just slightly understable, very true flying discs. Am I coming to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? No, I am not playing Pittsburgh. I think that's the last weekend I have off, right? Yeah. Between Vermont.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm leaving the World Championships and I'm taking a full week to get up to Vermont. I'm stopping to visit Pat Govang in Ithaca because he's got a private course. I might be possibly participating in part of that project. But other than that, no. Did the green hair dye cause my hair to fall out? No, but bleaching your hair does. It turns it to straw. So I have bleached my hair probably 50 times in my life. I've had my hair every color imaginable, especially when I was younger. Not especially, that's not true. Throughout my life, I've dyed it every color.
But you have hair.
Under the sun.
You always wear a hat, so people probably don't even know you wear.
I have hair. I have a decent head of hair for 52. But the bleaching, though, the bleaching will make your hair fall out. Yeah, I've destroyed my hair. Did I play in the Pro-Am at Funky Farms this year? Yeah, so check this out. At the Funky Farms Pro-Am, it was a $20,000 skins match. And listen to this list of players. There's 8 pros at this tournament. Paul Macbeth, Ricky Wysocki, Calvin Heimberg, James Conrad, Jeremy Colling, Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, and me.
And the footage comes out on...
And the footage comes out on the 26th of August. But I did play, and it was a great time. But and it's a you'll love the video. It's fantastic. But I won't spoil it for you. Lorton, Virginia. I played Lorton, Virginia. I'm positive I played Lorton, didn't I?
Yeah.
What tournament was that?
I don't know, but it was about the same time we were at L'Oreal.
Was it just after L'Oreal? Did I win that one too?
I think so.
I think I won that tournament too.
It was the start
pretty
of
sure.
Your Blue Power donations last year.
I started disc golf late, 42. I want to play pro. When should I move up? You're 866 rated, 845. Well, if you're playing pro, I think a reasonable goal, if you're 866 rated now, by the way, I don't ever put ceilings or caps on anybody, because anybody that's tried to put a cap on what I can do, they're full of shit, because you can't ever tell someone what they're capable of. But based on 45 years old, 866 rating, I think a very reasonable goal would be getting your rating up into above 950, 960 by age 50, or actually at age 49, the year you turn 50, you can play MP50. That would be a great time to turn pro. So that gives you a good 4-year goal. The 2 things you got to work on: number 1, mechanics. You got to have good form and good technique. And if you're 45 years old, you got to be in good shape. You know, you have things going against you. You started disc golf at 42. That doesn't mean that's a barrier to being good, but it is harder than somebody that started at 25 that had 17 years on you before you even started. So the things you have control over, because you can't control and go back in time when you started, you can control the shape you're in. So take care of your health. Make sure your health is good, and then your mechanics are good. How did I meet Adriana? I'll give you the 50-cent version of the story. So I was traveling by myself for the first time in my life, where I was actually on tour by myself, and I was committed that I'm just going to travel around and have fun. So what I was doing was I had dating profiles that would be set up in the town that I was going to be at, like in 2 weeks. That way I could meet somebody. And so when I got to town, for the week, I would already have a place to stay for the week, whatever, but that's how I was meeting girls as I was traveling. And so when I met her, one of the things that I've always done, I don't screw with people's emotions or heads. I told her, I said, look, I'm going to be in town for a week. I'm a nice guy. We're going to have fun. We're going to be hanging out. She's already told me after talking to her on the phone for 2 weeks that I could stay with her. So I said, perfect. I said, but there's 2 things. Number 1, and by the way, she's listening right over here. I said, number 1, I'm not staying. So don't, I'm not playing games. Don't get in your head that I'm staying. I'm here for the week. It's going to be awesome. Then I'm leaving. And number 2, you aren't coming with me. That's what I told her, right?
Yep. I
was very clear. If you're cool with that, then awesome. Then we'll have fun. And so I did. I stayed. I saw her. I stayed with her for a week, and then at the end of the week, I left, and she didn't come with me, like I said. But we talked on the phone every day. I came back to see her. 6 months later, she was on the road with me. Oh, you thought you were my favorite person. No, but you're in the top 10. I love you, Flea. You know that. I love your whole family. Of course.
What does that mean?
What?
What does this one mean?
Which one?
So much fun learning from.
So much fun learning from Huey Lewis. I don't know what that means. So, I don't know. Any plans coming to Wisconsin before the snow flies? I was in Wisconsin, but I won't be in Wisconsin again this year, and not for another year will I be in the country. So I have no idea when I'm going to be in Wisconsin again. But I was there for my daughter's graduation. She graduated college a couple months ago. My journey's been inspirational. Would I consider doing a clinic in Massachusetts for kids with ASD? We have a son with ASD, and disc golf has been life-changing. Girlfriend works autism support center. Yeah, message me directly. It's absolutely not out of the question, especially if it's near Maple Hill. I will not promise now because I would have to look at the schedule. But yeah, I've run 284 events for kids and adults with special needs. And I only stopped doing them during COVID because well, I don't have to explain. I stopped doing it mostly during COVID. Now we're figuring out, after a long time, that outdoors is fairly safe, and we got a less dangerous variant, and we're all vaxxed. Well, it should be. And don't start commenting. I'm not debating this topic, but basically, I think we're at a place now where we are safe to get together and teach these outdoor classes. No politics on my site, anybody. But if you message me, if we can put it together, then I would do a class for your kids. That's what I love doing classes. Started at 50, played 20 years of Ultimate, quickly realized one does equal the other, have made great strides, field work. Yeah. Playing Ultimate does not mean you can play disc golf. They're two different sports. There's a little tiny bit of an overlap because they're flying discs, but it's barely. It's often the case that someone that's played Ultimate actually has a harder time playing disc golf because the skills are similar. And even though they're similar, that means that sometimes it's harder to change little things because you have habits that you need to break. But then after you break them, you're actually doing something that's pretty close. It can, not always, but it can be easier to learn from scratch. So it is hard to go from Ultimate to disc golf. Hey, real quick, Bergapalooza. The Berg is available at scottstokely.net. My tour series Berg, but there's 4 different types: K1 hard, K1 soft, K3 hard, and then K3 soft, which is also my tour series Berg. So these are some of the only Bergs in the world are at scottstokely.net. Tell people, post to your page, tell everybody they can find Bergs.
The live stream special, it'll be up for tonight and then gone.
I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna stay up or not.
Because we're gonna change them out for next week, so it's a limited time.
Yeah, it's a limited time though. Yeah, it's going to be limited for sure. Have I watched Woodstock Trainwreck on Netflix? Would you have gone? Honestly, I almost certainly would have gone to Woodstock if I was young and it was 1960. I think it's 69. I almost certainly would have been part of that culture back then, almost no question. You do? Oh, I bear resemblance to Huey. Okay. Okay, that makes more sense. Could you name any courses you played in South Dakota? Never heard my state mentioned in the community. Oh God. When I went to the Black Hills, there's the what's the town where Mount Rushmore is? There's a couple courses there.
Or Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, but the town we stayed in.
Oh, Hettinger?
No. That's no. Oh, Hettinger. So there we go. Hettinger, South Dakota. I played the course at Hettinger, South Dakota, which is like an hour-ish from Roosevelt National Park. That was a good time. Our Jeep broke down in Hettinger, and we ended up spending a week there and we had a great time. What kind of foods am I eating to stay healthy? It's not about what I'm eating to stay healthy. It's what I'm not eating. I'll make this real brief because there's a lot of details to add to this. But basically, No bread, no pasta, no rice, no tortillas, and no sweet sugar. I don't get into the. I don't. This is not no carb. There's carbs in everything. I'm not going to stop eating fruit because there's carbs in it. And then no sweet sugar just means no ice cream, no cake, definitely no soda. Um, but I'm not anti-sugar. Like I'm not calling up restaurants and like asking, is there sugar in your Szechuan sauce or whatever? Like that is to me impossible. That's just as impossible as trying to give up all carbs. No, why would, and nor would I want to. It's not a keto diet. It's basically you have four foods that are effectively just fillers. You can get all your nutrients without any of those four breads. You get all your nutrients. You got everything you need to live without them. This is just extra garbage to make you full. And the sweet sugar is awesome and it's delicious, but it's empty calories. I eat tons of fruit, and I'm not anti artificial sweeteners. So I know that's going to make people angry at me for saying, but but if you do your research, you're going to find that, yeah, saccharin really is bad for you. You know how they can tell it's bad for you? Because if you give rats 20 times the amount per body weight that you would ever eat as a human, it has negative effects. But they're eating 20 times as much as we would eat before they're seeing those effects. Most of the artificial sweeteners are only not good for you because everyone knows if it's artificial, it's bad. Turns out high fructose corn syrup and sugar is worse. So even if the artificial sweeteners are bad for you, it's the lesser of two evils compared to sugar and high fructose corn syrup. That's it. I just give that stuff up. I'm not throwing any MVP or Axiom discs, but I have. It's a great company. I'm really big fans of Brad and Chad. I love what MVP does. So I'm not throwing them, but I'm a big fan. You're only playing disc golf for a year or want to become a pro. I'm 20. What advice or tips can you give someone who wants to play their first tournament? Yeah, have fun. Well, first off, if you want to become a pro, the single most important thing is proper mechanics. Proper mechanics trumps everything. If you have good mechanics, you're a good player. And if you have good mechanics and you practice and train, you're a great player. But your first tournament, have fun, make friends, and behave in a way that makes other people like you and want to play with you. Those are the three biggest things. And included in that is trying to learn the rules to the best of your ability, including rules involving courtesy. Just jumped on. Ever gained lessons camps in Georgia? Nothing this year. I mean, I've given them, but I booked out my entire year in January. In fact, I posted my entire 2022 seminar schedule in January, and I sold out the entire year in 24 hours for the entire season. So, yeah, nothing coming up in Georgia. Hey, what's up, Brandon? Thank you very much, sir. This is one of the top, I don't want to say up and coming because that implies that you're not already great, but Brandon is one of the top players out there. Just played the Great Lakes Open, and I could get it wrong, but I think he just shot, I think about 1030 for the tournament, which is absolutely freaking ridiculous. I'd like to shoot 1030 golf out like at Toboggan. I mean, to not have a disaster round is incredible. So I'm a huge fan, Randon. Have I heard any feedback from players wearing the Ideo disc golf shoe? What little I've heard has been positive. I can't speak any details, but I've heard positive things. I certainly haven't heard anything negative. My all-time disc golf foursome, including myself. This is so hard. By the way, I just purposely change the answer every time. So let's go PDGA number 3, Dan Roddick, number 67, TD Ugaldi, and I'm getting these numbers wrong. 71, Mark Horn. So we'll go. By the way, I'm sorry, Mark. I know I got yours wrong, and I might have got Tita's wrong, but Dan's is right. So let's go Mark Horn, TD Ugaldi, Mark Horn, TD Ugaldi, and Dan Roddick. Will I be touring next year? Yes, of course. But I'm going to be on This year is Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, and Cambodia over the winter in tournaments. And then next year, I will be on the PDGA uh, or the European Pro Tour and PDGA Europe. They're two separate tournaments. PDGA Europe is like the NTs, with the Disc Golf Euro Tour being like the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And both of them are making sure I got my tour cards for them. So I'm competing all across Europe from March through October of next year. It's going to be sick. Who has the best mechanics on tour, MPO and FPO? You know, how about this for just a lame answer? Just about all the MPO players and a lot of the FPO players. You can't compete without good form on tour. Like you just can't compete. They don't all look identical because of all of our bodies move differently. So people's bodies move in between steps differently from one another. Like you can't have identical form. We all have different sizes, different shapes, different amounts of muscle mass, different flexibility, which is huge. We have scar tissue, we have injuries, but on top of that, all of our joints don't align identically. So much so that identical twins, I mean, genetically identical babies raised in the exact same home and environment, if they grow up playing two different sports, by the time they're adults, at a structural level, not genetic level, but at a structural level, they'll actually have two different bodies just because they grew up playing different sports. So that's why you see players look like they're throwing differently, because their bodies are all different. They all move differently, but they all have got good mechanics. There's certain fundamental things that they all do. And the only reason I say just about all the MPO and a lot of the FPO isn't because women aren't as good at disc golf as men mechanically. It's just that our field is bigger, so we can fill an entire field full of those players, or that you don't have an entire field full of FPO that are all throwing mechanically well. Just because their division is smaller, still, it won't be that way for long. In a couple of years, the FPO field, top to bottom, is going to be filled with all virtually perfect mechanics. So that's, it's kind of a, so very easy. Kristen Tatar and Paige Pierce, right? I mean, obviously they throw mechanically correct. And then on the other side, Eagle McMahon and Paul McBath throw right. Favorite course this season on tour? Eagles Crossing in Missouri, of course. It's not a tour course. I would have to say that I would probably go with Toboggan, with Idlewild damn close. I also like Texas State's, but I would probably go with Toboggan. I thought Toboggan was a perfect course. It's so hard, but so fair. Like there's no luck on that course. Like every bogey I got was because I threw a bad shot. I didn't get a single bogey where I threw a good shot and, oh, I can't believe that went out of bounds, or, oh, I can't believe I clipped that tree. All my bogeys were bad shots, which that's the indication of a good course. What? All right. Tour Series Berg, ScottStokely.net.
This is Bergapalooza.
Bergapalooza. This Berg is available, but there's 4 different versions of the Berg in my website. One of them's a Tour Series Berg, which is the coolest one because it's the K3, because it's my Tour Series Berg, and I make more money off this because it's my Tour Series Berg. However, the other 3 Bergs, they're kind of awesome too, and they're not Tour Series, so they don't have the cool Stokely Tour Series stamp, but at the same time, they're also $7 less. So if you just want a Berg to throw and want to save $7, get a regular Berg, and they're going to fly great for you too.
There's also discounts if you buy 5. You get
are there?
Discount, yeah, buy 2.
Oh, okay. So apparently there's discounts if you buy 5 or more. I wasn't even aware. I don't even know what's at my store. So let's see here. Favorite wind conditions for max distance. Yeah. If you're right-handed throwing a backhand, you want the wind to come across your left shoulder, not 45 degrees, but not a direct tailwind either. So it's kind of like blowing from, like if it was a clock from 7 or 7:30, and if you're trying to throw in the direction of 12 o'clock on a clock, you want the wind blowing towards 1 or 1:30, give or take, for a backhand. I grip this way with every grip. I grip it. It's a pinch grip. I squeeze it with all 4 fingers. It looks like I've been told these 2 fingers just resting here. No, they're not. They're squeezing against my palm. The pinky is holding onto the bottom of the disc. I'm squeezing here. This is gripping on right here. I mean, I'm gripping this super firm, but that's not the correct grip. It's not the incorrect grip. There's no such thing as a correct grip. There will never be a universally correct grip in disc golf. There can't be, because all of our hands are different. You have to find the grip that works for you, and you cannot automatically do a certain grip because some video told you. Any video out there that says, here's the correct way to grip a golf disc, is 100% wrong. What that video should have said was, here's the correct way to grip a golf disc for a certain percentage of players who have hands with certain shape and flexibility. There is no one correct grip for everybody. There never will be. Favorite thing about living on the road for as long as I have? Yeah, this is the reason why I will never, ever, ever have a home again. I will never land. I will be traveling the rest of my life until I fall over dead. And my favorite thing is I want something new tomorrow. I always want a new experience. I never want to go to the same restaurant twice. I never want to see the same museum twice. Like, I just want different. This is why when I leave the country, I don't know where I'm going afterwards, because there's so many new places out there. We actually, this is the truth. We'll drive to the tournament course 3 different ways, including way out of our way, just to drive on a different road. Adrienne is the exact same way as me. We just want something different. Our rule is, the minute we can find our hotel without using our phones, like, we've been here way too long. So to me, the most important thing is new experiences. I would rather have a shitty experience tomorrow that's new than go someplace tomorrow where I've done it before. No matter how much fun it is, I would rather have the new bad experience. That's the truth. What got me to choose autism for my main charity? So, yeah, the short of it is I got into the special needs and autism community because I was trying to impress a girl. I was dating someone that had a son with autism, and she was a great mother, and I watched how hard she worked and how much struggle she went through in raising a child with autism. So I thought I could impress her by doing something for the autism community, kind of like honoring her son and her. And that relationship didn't work out, but by the time it didn't work out, I then become connected to the community, and I started discovering how amazing all these families were of kids in, or even older children with special needs. And then of course the kids with special needs are also a blast also. Even the ones that are difficult are kind of fun in their own, not kind of, they're fun in their own way. Even their challenges are different. By the way, it probably goes along the lines of always wanting something different. I would much rather talk to a 15-year-old kid with autism than someone who's living some boring life in the suburbs that doesn't do anything like that's interesting or different. And by the way, not knocking anybody for however you live your life. It's just, me personally, I would rather be around that person that's quirky and weird. And I say that in the most loving, complimentary way possible. Quirky and weird to me is probably the highest form of praise I can give somebody. So people in the special needs community are all super unique because they've lived lives different than mine. Even physical disabilities. There's nothing developmental, but there's still something about their personalities that's always going to be unique because they've walked a different path through life than most of us have. So there's going to be almost always something there that I can grab onto and say, that's something I really like about you, or I find you interesting. So that's, now I'm connected to the community. Now I love the people in the community, but my motives were just very human. If I had to carry a backpack bag, what would it be? I don't know the difference, honestly. Like I'm carrying a Discraft bag now because I got it at the Funky Farms tournament. I know Revolution bags are fantastic. I'm a big fan of Revolution. Um, uh, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with Revolution because my golf carts are a gotta throw. So that's where, if you want to, that's where the Revolution bags are. But so if you want to get a golf cart, that's where you want to go get them. How do you like Renegades Trail? I've seen you there Friday. Yeah, I love Renegades Trail. That's the course. I played 4 practice holes there, and then I heard lightning, and I ran to the car really fast, scared because I don't like lightning. So I'm not scared of many things. Lightning's one of them, though. But I like Renegades. I shot 9 under there last year, which is really good. It was like a 10-30 round. So I'm looking forward to shooting. I'm playing there tomorrow, so we'll see. Am I gonna stop by and say hi to my old friends in Albuquerque? I'm not. I'm gonna be, the furthest west I'm gonna get is St. Louis until I get on a plane. But I'm flying to Hawaii, so I may be flying over Albuquerque. Pretty close. If I fly over Albuquerque, I'll wave. Do my thumb and index finger touch? Basically, I'm holding it like this. But don't get wrapped up on what I'm telling y'all. Don't get wrapped up on how I grip a disc. I only grip a disc correctly with this hand. All of our hands are different. So that's it. We're just always going to be different.
Here, I'm going to have to do this one because it's like 2 parts.
Okay. Yeah. Your knowledge of disc golf is nearly unmatched. What do you think the next step of professional disc golf will be? And then will we have a draft like other sports someday? Well, I don't think we'll have a draft unless there's some kind of team activity, which I don't think we ever will, because there's not a draft in golf or bowling or tennis. So I don't think it's going to be a draft. I think the next step is just to keep going where we're going. You know, one of the things that's going to happen, and this is like maybe a bit of a buzzkill, but we will never have the prize money that ball golf does. And I'll give you my theory as to why, but I'm pretty confident that we're never going to see prize money at the ball golf level. So there's no step there. It's going to get bigger. I mean, of course, it's going to get bigger. But when ball golf was generating prize money, which comes from sponsorship revenue, it was at a time where there were decades where there were 3 channels, television channels. If you wanted to watch sports on a weekend, you had a 1 in 3 chance of watching golf because there wasn't options. There weren't all these cable channels. There certainly wasn't YouTube and all the other forms of media. There certainly weren't all the video games to play. So you could command a higher percentage of the American, especially American international, but American viewing audience, which meant when Buick put up their name Buick on a tournament, it got seen by far more people than disc golf is ever going to be seen when you put Buick next to a disc golf tournament, because we are sharing, like, the media is so broad. We're never going to command that size audience that took place at that time in history. The reason why ball golf money is still there, even though viewership on ball golf has dropped off so much, in my opinion, is because the CEO of Buick, they've been sponsoring the event for 20 years, and he wants to have dinner with Tiger. So and he also attracting this very rich, very niche audience. So you don't need a lot of audience. If you're getting the bankers to watch, well, they carry more pull than the average buying power of the average person. So it's just a different world. So we're not going to see the money, but everything else, aside from the prize money, we are blowing ball golf out of the water. We are going to continue to have more players, more sponsorship, more courses, more participation, larger leagues, bigger organization. The doors are going to be open for more and more people to make money in the sport, doing all sorts of things, from clinics to teaching to pro shops to running events to traveling to manufacturers to coming up with their own products, manufacturing products. So I don't think there's any changes that are going to happen. There's just going to be bigger and more of everything, except for prize money. Prize money will get bigger, but it's never going to be what ball golf is, but it doesn't have to be. Like that applies to like 0.002% of players out there. So I don't even care. I'm hosting an AGL Discs Babbitt Up Challenge this month. My first time as a TD. Having any advice? Okay, first off, if you're doing a specific AGL, you're probably going to attract an audience of really cool people. But I'll give you the advice I would give a normal tournament director. You're not going to please everybody. There's going to be people upset, probably. Except that's part of the challenge of running the event, that not everybody's going to be happy. But yeah, just if it's your first time, plan on making mistakes. Surround yourself with people that have done it before. You'll get people that have run tournaments before. If you say, hey, will you kind of be an assistant? A lot of them would love that because they can still kind of be involved in running tournaments, but they don't have to be responsible like you. So surround yourself with good people. My thoughts in the Beavis and Butthead movie, yeah, it was pure genius. What's one movie or TV show remake you'd like to see again? None. Stop remaking stuff. God, for the love of God. Like zero, none, ever. No more remakes. Any tips on approaching holes or courses we play very often in a different way? I mean, I guess you could just keep an open mind and experiment when you go to practice. You know, pay attention to what other people are doing and look at a hole from all the different perspectives. So don't get wired to how you throw the hole. I mean, first off, conditions change. The wind isn't always blowing the same direction. You know, most of the holes, not most, but a lot of the holes on tour, the players will throw differently based on if it's a right to left versus a left to right wind. They'll certainly change their discs based on that. So you have to be flexible on the hole. You can't get wired to a certain shot. Did I have a family member that had special needs? And that started from no family member. I had a girlfriend that had a son with autism. That's where it all started. Yeah, well, it turns out my daughter turned out she has autism. She figured that out much later in life, like when she went to college. As she's discovered 3 mathematical proofs in college and has just been wildly successful. I like to share this. This is important. I like to share the fact that when people say how to get into special needs, I was trying to impress a girl. And I think that's important because like I don't want to paint this picture like I'm some like special altruistic person that's like better than other people because I do all this like charity work. It's like my motives were very human motives. I don't think it matters why you do things. I don't care if you get into doing good things because you're trying to impress a girl like I was, or maybe you first got into it because the judge gave you community service, or maybe you're looking for a tax write-off, or maybe you're just trying to impress the people at your church, because you want to put more money in the basket so they know that you're giving more money. Like, I don't give 2 shits why you're doing good things or what the motives. If the end result is you're doing good things, that's great. I don't think things have to be pure motives. Like, if you're doing good stuff, do good stuff. Hey, by the way, here's one of the great ones. If the thing you get out of doing good things is you like to talk about it in social media and you get a bunch of hearts and likes for it, like, there's people that will shit on you for that. Oh, you're just doing that so you can brag about it. Those people need to shut the hell up. Who cares why you're doing good things? If it makes you feel good to get praise, go get praise. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with feeling good about yourself, and there's nothing wrong with being patted on the back. And if anybody tells you there is, then they need to shut up, right? Do good things. I don't care why you do them. Any memorable urban or old city downtown as course you played over the years come to mind? Any bizarre courses worth mentioning? How about Sedgley Woods in South Philly? The harshest course out there. The first time I went to Sedgley Woods in South Philly, the president of the local club said to me, "There's 2 rules at Sedgley Woods. Number 1, you get out of there before dark." And I said, "Yeah, of course we'll leave before dark." And he says, "No, you don't understand." This is not a joke. You leave before dark. He said the number 2 rule at Sedgley Woods: always look carefully before picking up your disc because of the used condoms and needles lying around. That's what he told me. That was my first trip to Sedgley Woods. To this day, I believe, if you asked me, Sedgley Woods has the number 1 disc golf club in the world. The people at Sedgley Woods are freaking amazing. And by the way, every single one of them can kick your ass. Like every single person in the Sedgley Woods club is tough. But it's the best, maybe the strongest club in the sport. You know, they do a tournament every year on New Year's Day. It's a New Year's Day tournament. 400 people show up. And they play a round of golf on New Year's Day. So the average hole has between 20 and 25 people per group. It takes like 7 hours to play a round of golf because your group is a 20-some. That's what they do at Sedgley Woods. It's amazing. It's one of the most unique situations out there. Here's the coolest thing too is it's in a really bad, tough part of Philly. And there's basically this unspoken agreement. The locals don't screw with the golfers. Like it's relatively safe, you know, considering its location. I'm not saying it's safe 5 blocks away, but the course is safe. And people go out there and play and they have a good time. And the community just kind of accepts that the weird disc golfers are out there doing stuff. Yeah, Sedgley Woods is amazing. Probably the coolest urban course in the world. Well, that I've played. I'm planning on doing a song and dance night. I was hoping variety show kind of thing. Here, I'll do one variety show trick with my Tour Series Berg available at scottstokely.net. And then 3 other types of bergs at scottstokely.net. Limited. There's very few bergs out there in the world you can find. They're all at scottstokely.net. Okay, I'll do a berg trick. And I'll do it sitting down. Ready for this? Hold on. I don't know if I can even do it sitting down, but we'll see. Now that's there. How's that for a song and dance variety? That's the most tricky.
More like a stupid human trick.
That's a stupid human trick. Other than tour, just anyway, help spread the message. Yeah, share my stuff. Share my videos on social media. Anything I'm doing you think is cool, share. Best thing you do is share. Tell people to watch my videos. You can buy the Scott Stokely Universe shirts. That's available at scottstokely.net. These seriously are this. I think this is the sickest disc golf shirt in the world. In my opinion, this is the best disc golf shirt ever. This is an artist that made this specifically for me, and it's called the Scott Stokely Universe because this world that this takes place in, that's the Scott Stokely Universe, and we have more shirts coming out to take place in the same universe. Is the mental aspect of disc golf as important as the mechanics? All right, I'm going to say something that's going to contradict every single smart person in the entire world, and I think every single one of them is wrong, and I'm right. Which, by the way, 99% of the time when you think everyone else is wrong but you, it turns out that you're wrong. But I think this is true. And I won't get into all the data that backs this up, but there's a lot of data to back this up. I don't think that the mental game is anywhere near as important as the mechanics. Now, that's crazy. Everyone knows mental game's the most important part. It's like, really? It's the most important part. Like, so if it's the most important part, you're telling me that every single player in the NBA or the NFL, they were the most well-adjusted people, that they came from 2-parent households. They were raised with fundamental life skills. They grew up in communities that didn't have drama or didn't have, difficult challenges growing up, right? You're telling me that these are all the most mentally well-adjusted people in the entire world? Really? I would argue that that's not the case. I would argue they're the most athletic. And then when it comes down to it, the athletes, the best athletes, are beating the most well-adjusted people, right? I think that's my observation. I know a lot of people out there, lots of people, they got their shit together. They don't get upset. They're totally calm. They don't get nervous. They've got perspective on life. They have bad mechanics and they suck. They're not good. And I know players with really, really good mechanics. And I don't think they've got the best mental games at all. They beat themselves up. They get frustrated. They blame things. They just, normal human emotions when they play, and then they win tournaments. Their mechanics are good. So the correlation to scoring well, to me, is far closer to good mechanics than not. Now, you have a bunch of players with good mechanics that win tournaments, and after they win the tournaments, you're like, well, look at how strong their mental game was. Well, yeah, in hindsight, when you look back, of course, that mental game looked strong. Well, first off, you're looking at a person who played well, so their mechanics led them to playing well. Well, of course, they kept their shit together. They were shooting 1070 rounds. Does that mean that they're shooting 1070 rounds because their mental game was good? Well, if that was the case, then how come all these really well-adjusted people aren't also shooting 1070 rounds? So I think mechanics trumps everything. So that's, and I'll go into a lot more detail than that, but there's a lot of data that shows that the mental game, like there's data to back that up too. So there you go. Everybody go ahead and post how I'm wrong. I'm fine with that. Who do I want to get second place at Worlds? Who do I want to battle with? That's a good question. So when I win Worlds, who do I want to go next head to head with? It would probably have to be Paul, because Paul's the best in the world. And I know right now Eagle's got the highest rating, and I know that Ricky Wysocki's Ricky Wysocki, and Calvin just came off a big win, and Dickerson is, in contention to win every time he plays. And I know there's a long list of disgustingly good players out there, but there's an aura to Paul. And so if I have a head-to-head battle, I just I think Paul. It's got to be Paul. It's got to be Paul. And he keeps keeping the sidearm fresh. Yeah, with good mechanics, you're gonna be easier on your arm than anything else. I mean, when you have good mechanics, then it's going to be relatively not easier on your arm, but easier on your arm. But I do think that being strong is what matters. I think being strong trumps everything. Build muscle, be in shape, have low body fat and muscles. And I think if you do those two things, your arm and the rest of your body will be protected. I think there's no way you can even argue with those two things being good for keeping your whole body fresh. Which professional disc golfer is the best artist? Well, Cam Todd's pretty damn good. But as far as best artist, I don't even know. I mean, Kevin Jones has got musical talent. He's a DJ. There's art involved in that. I don't know. Do you know of any artists off the top of your head that also any of the players that are also making a name for themselves as an artist? I don't know. I'll tell you what. So that's a really good question. I'd be willing to bet that a lot of the players on tour are very artistic. I just don't know who they are. I believe the Scott Stokely universe is much greener than it used to be. Could be wrong. I believe there was a time, but I see a couple green fields and beaches in your future, if not now. Yeah, I see a lot of stuff in my future. Where we're going. I mean, we're going to go to Singapore, Malaysia, Cambodia, and Taiwan this January and February after going to Australia and New Zealand over the winter.
Thailand, not Taiwan.
Did I say Taiwan?
Yeah.
Oh, Thailand. So I see all sorts of I see rainforests. I see monkeys in the jungles of Malaysia in my future. Boxers or briefs?
That's the last question.
That's the last one? Mm-hmm. Who wears underwear? Visualize that one, Brad Schick. By the way, Brad Schick, the guy who Just the guy that just last year made a putt to put himself into the Hall of Fame. One of the best putts of all time. And I say this because people have thrown in 70 footers and people have thrown in random shots and things have happened. But to actually step up, Brad stepped up at Masters Worlds and he had a 35-foot putt make this your world champion. And the thing that's so great about this is Brad has like 275 wins. Some A tiers, a lot of B tiers and C tiers. But if there's something that Brad would have been tagged as, is he's like winning a lot of really big competitive tournaments, but hadn't like quote won the big one yet. And still like could go into the Hall of Fame just because of like 275 wins, right? But with that one putt, I mean, he had to play great for 4 rounds, but with that one putt, that was the putt where you make this putt, your name is etched in stone in the Hall of Fame. Now it's when, not if. Pretty badass. All right. Not Worlds, just US. And it was an ugly putt. Yeah, it was okay, sorry. I just saw Brad's comment. Just the US Masters, yeah. So, oh my God, Brad. He's all being humble about it. You can't see the comments, but Brad's posting about how it was an ugly putt. Yeah, it was an ugly putt that went in to put you in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, that does not sound like an ugly putt, Brad. I would disagree. I couldn't disagree any stronger with that.
It won, so that doesn't.
Yeah, you won, period. End of discussion. You win. Hall of Fame. Do you think playing disc golf on a ball golf course is okay for now, but not for longevity? I think spectators like the idea of playing the courses they watch the pros play. Yeah, it's one of the biggest rubs on our sport, and it's such a challenge, is that the courses that nearly every pro wants to play is in the woods. Not necessarily heavy woods, but Idlewild type courses, toboggan type courses. I mean, that's what a lot of players like to play. And those are not necessarily the most spectatorable courses out there. And they don't necessarily showcase things that translate, which is the 700-foot throw, or at the very least the 600-foot throw. And but those courses are kind of boring. They're hyzer fest. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges our sport's going to face, is how many courses out there are spectatorable for large groups, because we're going to be getting to a point where we've got 5,000, 10,000 spectators out. They need to be spectatorable courses, but not boring ball golf courses. And that's not easy. It's just, that's the toughest challenge our sport is facing right now, is finding that compromise on courses, I think. What's the most common sport most disc golfers come from? Well, honestly, I don't know, but nowadays they come from disc golf because they're playing as kids. So, I think that is, basically disc golf. Or if you ask Nate Sexton, he'll tell you one of the keys, which I don't disagree with, is to be a well-rounded athlete. So it could be just, I played sports. Like I played with a kid, I practiced with a kid that plays varsity tennis. That doesn't mean tennis is the natural transition to disc golf, but I think just playing sports and being athletic is common. Do you think Eagles Crossing will be added to the tour next year? That I don't know. I think Eagles Crossing, I can't speak for Philip Samuels and Eagles Crossing, but my suspicion is that Eagles Crossing probably won't be. I think the idea, just my opinion, is that it's not going to be a tour course, because if it's a tour course, it's just another course on the tour, which is a tremendous honor, right? To be one of the courses on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. There's only 16 Elite Series events out there. But I think it's more going to be for a special event. The World Championships, the US Open, National Championships, the world's largest skins match, women's nationals, I don't know, like whatever you want to call it. But I think it's kind of like, I think it may be a little bit outside of the tour in its own special place. So that's my suspicion. Do I change my bag depending on the course I play? A little bit, yeah. The biggest thing I do is I carry backups of discs if there's a lot of OB. So I will carry 2 or 3 of the same disc.
Water.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, if there's not a lot of OB, but a lot of water. Yeah, I got to make sure if I lose a disc, I have a replacement in there. So, like even right now, I'm typically carrying. Let's see. There's 1, 2. I have 4 discs in my bag that I carry backups of, but that's so probably I don't change it too much then. That's all the questions, y'all. I hope everybody goes. Please check out the Tour Series Berg at scottstokely.net. There's also 3 other models of Bergs there. You can't find Bergs anywhere. Like if you want to get a Berg or Bergs, you have to kind of go buy. They don't have to do anything, but if you buy them now, I recommend it because when they're gone, Bergs are hard to come by. They've been hard to come by for a while. I just happen to have a bunch. So, but they're up for a limited amount of time on my website. And please share to please, like if my one request, if you want to support what I do, well, I like when you buy my merchandise and it supports what I do. But equally important, tell people if they're looking for Bergs, if you're looking for Bergs, go to scottstokely.net and just say this Berg's available. In fact, you can even just post that on your page. Go, hey, go to Scott Stokely's website. Don't say scottstokely.net because the minute you put a link to a website, the Facebook algorithm will basically, like, you won't get any views because you're sending people off the site. But if you say go to Scott Stokely's page or Scott Stokely's store or something like that, you can find Bergs. That would be the coolest thing. Let's see.
So tell somebody to put it on Reddit.
Oh yeah. You can also tell people on Reddit. Tell Reddit, here, somebody do a post on Reddit. I found Bergs, and then tell them where to find them. That'd be awesome. All right, y'all. Oh, one more. I'll lift exercise once we go touring. Do I have any particular favorite lifting training exercise for distance and explosiveness? Do squat, deadlift, core exercises, etc.? I honestly think that you have to just train everything. You use so many different muscles when you throw. Like you would have to like train like 75% of them. Like why would you leave the other 25% out? I think just being strong and healthy. The 2 things physically that are going to help you physically is going to be just athletically, like not carrying a lot of extra weight and then having strong muscles. I mean, those are the 2 things that trump everything. I would say right after that comes, don't be hungover, don't, smoke cigarettes, do drugs. Like none of those things are going to help your game out. But that's not what you asked. So I think the biggest thing is train your whole body and don't carry the extra weight. Those are the 2 biggest things physically you can do on the golf course.
Yep, and so tell everybody to come back next week.
Yeah, next week. Thank you. Next Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do this again. I hope you all had fun. I love talking to everybody. You guys are the best. I couldn't be any happier to be chatting with everybody. So I hope everybody had fun on a Friday night, and we will see you next Friday. And go to scottstokely.net. Buy the Bergs. Thanks, y'all.